way I look at myself. And if anyone has a problem with me being myself, well, then they're probably not really my friends. I also don't just play with Barbies. I play with Legos and Mega Bloks, because while I definitely like Barbies, I like building things too, and I'm actually really, really good at it. My name is Tim Mortensen. I'm 43 years old, and I know that I don't need to be defined by Barbie. I can be whoever I want to be.
This is the Onion News Network.
And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Let us make them remember. We are not afraid!
Thunderstick!
Yeah, undefeated here and declare your independence from me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona, from the beautiful studios of Phoenix.com. Ooh, that's a good one just for John. This is just for John. Oh, I see that Christmas tree there. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Very nice. Okay, one thing, we're talking to John Sneesen, CEO at the Economic Truth, John Thor Stubb Sneesen. John Thor, okay, it sounds Norwegian or Norwegian or something. Whoa, what's that?
Oh, I lost your audio.
You lose me? Well, let me go ahead and tell you who John Thor Stubb Sneesen. You say it in your Norwegian accent. He will in a second here. Is the founder of the nonprofit organization, The Economic Truth. The Economic Truth has over 10,000 followers, damn, in 30 countries. His organization analyzes current economic events, the monetary system, and geopolitical events from an objective standpoint. John is a leadership council member at Freedom Force International, which is an organization that promotes and educates individual and economic freedoms. It currently has members in 78 countries. Members include Robert Kiyosaki, Alex Jones, Mike Adams, Catherine Austin Fitts, and many other leaders in many venues of activism working for freedom for individuals. He's a contributor to World Alternative Media with economic reports. It is featured in an upcoming mini documentary on inflation and paper money. John is passionate about teaching people how our monetary systems is deemed to fail and how you can protect yourself from the certain failure. He educates people about alternative systems and promote freedom and voluntarism. He predicted that the quantitative easing from central banks around the world will create deflation, and we'll talk about that. But he is also seeing that in a panic, this might end up causing hyperinflation. He predicted the move of Switzerland, Denmark, and Sweden with negative interest rates and many rate cuts by central banks around the world, not interest rate hikes, which many experts called for. Okay, now you can go to his webpage. Page is theeconomictruth.org, theeconomictruth.org. John Sneesen, that's going to say his whole name with the right pronunciation. Go.
Jon Tore Stubb Sneisen. That's actually the Norwegian version of it.
Holy crap. All right, say that slower. Do that again.
Okay, yeah. Jon Tore Stubb Sneisen. Yeah, that's how it goes.
Oh, my goodness. Not even, man.
I just threw a wrench in there.
I'm not even trying. Holy crap. All right. Yeah, Norwegian language is, what do you call that? It's not like Phoenician or something. I mean, what is it?
No, it's Norwegian. Very simple.
Okay, Norwegian, but I mean, it's not Slavic. It's not,
No, it
Latin.
comes
It's
from.
not.
It's more. I think it comes from maybe some Saxon in there. Like I know it's from Denmark, from Danish. Like that's the origins of it. We actually don't speak Viking or Norse at all, like the Icelandic do, because they got stuck on an island when Denmark took us over. So.
Well, that's one thing. It's like you have also language. A lot of times determines how you think. And it's like, Russian, you're going, whoa, that's caveman talk, man. What just happened there? So I'm wondering if when you grew up bilingual, did you learn English from early age?
Yeah, grade 3, we learned it in school.
Okay, so did your experience is that having English changes the way you think?
Yeah, it opened me up to other ideas, that's for sure.
Why? Just because certain ideas weren't expressed or something in that language?
Yeah, not very much. Not very much in Norway. Not openly, anyways. And maybe in the hidden dark shadows of language in Norway. But it's the idea of liberty or any ideas like what I read books on. There's 0 books basically in Norwegian on those topics. So yeah. Oh, definitely.
There's no great freedom, individualistic. The idea of the individual heroes coming to save the day. I mean, no
There's
heritage.
The heritage is definitely there. We were actually quite the libertarian and conservative back in the day before we got socialized, when we found oil and become docile and didn't move and do nothing. So no, Norway's. You got to remember, Norway fought back. We stopped the creation of the atom bomb up there in Norway. We constantly fought back against the Germans with the militias, actually, back during the Second World War. So Norway was quite, I'm not sure if you could call it completely libertarian, but we were definitely a conservative country and not, heavy liberal that we become over the year. Like now it's, like some form of, like we call it here in Canada, to the progressive conservatives, but it's socialism light for me. People said that, Norway is not a socialist country anymore. I said, like, well, they're trying to actually get away from socialism that the oil created back in our dependency on it, and now we're finally figuring out that maybe we have to innovate and do something else than just putting a straw in the ground.
This has been anytime I look, I go, okay, the socialist. Every time I look, it's always, they tried that. They kind of walked it back, and the unions and labor and the government and the corporations, they're like, we got to have profitable businesses or we ain't going to make it, So it seems like they're kind of cooperating that way more than what they would be here.
Well, in Norway, for example, we have not all sectors, of course. There's a bunch of sectors that are like partly they're almost like the Canadian crown corporations, government, state sponsored operations, you can call them. But we've become more and more of a free market, especially the sector that I came from, and maybe that's why, I'm thinking the way I'm thinking, or what it pushed me towards it was that telecom and energy sector is fully decentralized and a free market economy. So they have, heavily competitive. There's, I think, like 6 or 7 main providers. No, probably even more. But like actual telecom services in the city of Oslo. Then on top of that, you have so you got the primary dealers, as you have in the financial markets. And then you got the secondary dealers that, rent the lines off of the primary dealers. So you have about almost like 30 to 50 different providers, depending on where you live in Norway, for almost both for energy and for telecom. So Norway is, there's certain sectors that have been very successful, and especially the telecom and energy sectors have been very successful because you can go and get energy from anywhere you want. You just got to pay the line rental for the local utilities company that take care of your lines and so on. So it's actually a really great opportunity for you to find the best, possible price instead of here in Manitoba, where I live. We got Manitoba Hydro, and that's it.
So that, how does that work in Norway? I mean, you got the line fee or something, but I mean, can you supply your own? So, I mean, if you got a bunch of solar in a field, are you add to the grid and pay me money?
No, the government controls that.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
All right. All right,
Yeah,
it's not all that. Okay.
Come on. What do you think?
Well, how stupid I am. Okay, so what we're going to do when we come back, the repo market is a mess. And John Sneesen last week threw a wrench in it and told us that you have 2 years to report that you did it, and it's not just an overnight, it's a week or month. Kind of what? What? We'll find out.
From the first letter of Dr. Idris Barber, I've healed many landlubbers, but could have healed countless more if they were willing to break the law to preserve themselves. The Crown required that I obey leeching privateers who didn't share my oath to do no harm. I was forbidden from discussing the treatments I knew patients needed. The Crown claims to protect landlubbers from bankrupting medical expenses, but only seduces them into begging for relief, while privateers monopolize the management of chronic illness. This royal alliance has constructed a medical hegemony that denies science, discredits alternative remedies, and mandates unwanted treatments, while callously ignoring the victims dying on waiting lists. They have produced a society increasingly addicted, impoverished, diseased, and suicidal. My conscientious objections and medical ambitions required not only seeing this cage, but leaving it. That's why I raised my black banner. Among pirates, the Crown's tantrums are irrelevant. You own your body without qualification. Open ocean medicine enables healers and customers to build a relationship of mutual consent. Prices decrease, quality increases, and physicians become as accessible as barbers. Customers determine their own medical care, whether that's experimental treatments, prohibited plants, controversial procedures, bootleg pharmaceuticals, or even the right to die. Any system of command and control is rejected. In time, artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, genetic engineering, and cybernetic prosthetics could take the human condition beyond our imagination. Medical augmentation could eliminate aging, enhance intelligence, and erase our fundamental physical limitations. With the Crown in our wake and the individual at the helm, we are free to pursue an unfettered life. Need decentralized solutions to centralized problems? Join the conversation at pirateswithoutborders.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty? Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip,
okay, when we come back, you know what I'm talking about when you inputted that?
Sorry, about the repo markets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's you got to explain that to us because I need to, because I had, I don't know if you heard when I had Peter Schiff on last week.
No, I didn't know. No.
Yeah, I had him on and I asked him about that and he's like, what? And,
really?
Yeah, I didn't get all detailed into it, but I said, hey, man, I know something you might want to check out, man. I mean, this is going to be bad. And then I just heard that they cleared it out last night or something, or they're stopping it or not using it or something. I didn't really look.
Hold on there, actually.
Yeah, go take a look.
Stopping. On Monday, the 16th, they did a 32-day repo. And that goes until the 17th of January.
For how much?
End of it. That is, hold on. I actually have my report that I put it in. Hold on there. It's 16.41 billion. And then plus, that's for treasuries. And then there's 8.60 billion of mortgage-backed securities that they had to do. And then before that, they did one on the 25th of November. That's the
okay. Wait.
Yeah.
So they're just not giving them money. They're taking actual physical, assets. They're collateralizing or something.
Well, yeah. So what?
Okay. So the Fed is directly paying. Yeah. So the Fed is directly paying for mortgages already.
Yeah, and they give them central bank reserves. It's called. So they basically.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Any rose.
Okay. John Sneezen, God. If you didn't say all your names, you just said John Sneezen, how's that sound?
Oh, that's way better. Way easier.
Well, say it so I can say it.
John Sneezen. Sneezen.
John Sneezen. No, I mean,
There
is that
you
how you say it in Norway?
Yeah, Jon Sneezen, but
Jon Sneezen.
That's too. Yeah.
Jon Sneezen. I can do it. It's your name.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
Jon Sneezen. Jon Sneezen. All right. Jon Sneezen. There, I did it once. All right.
Yeah.
Now, I'll call him John anyway. But anyways.
Yeah, you call me John, please.
So
it's confusing now.
I know, I'm all messed up. Okay, last week we were, I think it was Pachot and I were talking about something, and I was talking to somebody, anyway, about this repo market, and it's quantitative easing with another name, because they always give them new names. Like quantitative easing was a new name for money printing, or the inflation of the money supply, and what they call quantitative easing. I mean, where the hell do they come up with these words, So was quantitative easing even a phrase before they started using it? They just made that up, or what?
Well, they just made that up. They had something called Operation Twist at one point that did the same thing. They just keep on renaming these things so people have no clue what's going on. That's basically what it is. They're just finding a word for something. Well, I guess they ease the tensions of the liquidity in the market or whatever garbage they think.
Try to give them an out. Anyway, so this is what he was talking about. All right, crap. Talk about the repo market, what it does, and then there's a twist that you added that they extended. This is the beginning of the end of the beginning of the end of something. Okay.
Yeah.
So explain it.
Yeah. So on September 17th, what happened was that you had the first intervention in the repo market by the Federal Reserve. Well, now what is the repo market? The repo market is simply put in terms is a overnight lending facility. So primary lenders, hedge funds, money market funds, all these guys are lending to each other overnight to make sure that they're insolvent the next day. So that's what it's like the repo markets are. But there's repo markets for anything around the world. So it's not just, the banking system itself that has it. There's inter-commercial lending, between big commercial corporations. But so what happened back on the 17th was that this overnight lending facility, because what happens is they take collateral in whatever asset
okay, overnight lending for what? Let's get back to the basis.
Yeah.
There is a 10%, it's 10% now, right? A reserve that they're supposed to have?
No. Yeah, well, that is also a big lie in my point of view, especially here in Canada. We don't have anything close to 10%, which is supposed to be the fractional reserve lending facility. But when it comes to the repo, so basically what it is, it's an institution that needs money overnight. So this is like very, very short-term lending. And it borrows money, but it puts up collateral that it has, treasuries or mortgage-backed securities in the form that they do with the banks or hedge funds, whoever big institutions that are part of this repo lending facility that the Fed has set up. So what happens is if they, for example, they are not able to lend or nobody wants to lend, well, the market sends up the interest rate. So what happened on the 17th was that JP Morgan apparently was one of the major ones that said, no, I'm not lending to these guys because what? Well, I think there was some insolvent institutions that they just didn't want to risk their capital to borrow to. So what happened was that the interest rate just skyrocketed up from, I think it was 1 or 2 point something percent, all the way up to 10% right overnight.
Whoa!
So basically, you had a massive collapse in the borrowing system. You had defaults come in potentially. So the Federal Reserve, right there and then, put in.
Okay, now when was this? How long ago was this when this went to 10%?
This was the 17th of November. So what you're looking at, they actually did $40.85 billion of an intervention in treasuries. And then they also had to do an 11.7% intervention at that same day in, this is billions, by the way, in mortgage-backed securities.
Oh, mortgage-backed securities are back. Woohoo!
Well, they've been around and they're living where like you got.
No, I mean they're having to buy them out.
Yeah.
I mean, this is okay. Wait, I got some questions. Let's get some fundamentals so I understand. The overnight lending, I need it overnight. Why do I need it overnight? Why I needed? Give me $1 billion.
Because you're about to not make a payment and you need that money.
Payment to what? Other loans?
Well, probably. In this world today, it's other loans, or you can't pay a bill, but you got to borrow something. So you put up your collateral or whatever you have, and then you get money overnight. But then you pay back the next day. So it's not like printing of money every single day, but they're they have an available, up to, I think, hold on, let me actually pull it up here so I can tell you exactly how much they keep available. Like from the 12th of December, they have $120 billion available for overnight lending itself. But so what happened was... Have
they ever reached that limit?
They actually oversubscribed. Actually, they started at like 75 billion, but they had to increase it. And they're actually increasing it it looks like they're increasing it from the 31st of December, potentially up to 150. So they're just increasing this lending facility. And then, of course, it used to be overnight, but... wait. Yeah.
I want to get in that a little bit. We'll talk to that in a little bit. But I need to understand why they're letting... See, one thing, the fractional reserve banking means is, like you say, there is no reserve that you have to keep in Canada. But here in the U.S., what I'm trying to understand is that when I was a kid, I remember the reserve, or a long time ago, it used to be 20%. That you had to keep cash on hand as people run on bank. I want my money. Yeah, it's yours. You just can't have it now, kind of whatever. So then they go, well, that's too restricted. We'll make it 10%. And I'm going, okay, who made it 10%? Is it by statute, Congress? Is it the Federal Reserve, International Bank of International Settlements? I mean, who made it 10%? Where did that come from?
Well, that's the fractional reserve banking system itself.
Yeah, what? So what? Who's that? Who's that?
Well, there's the banks that created that system. That's the system itself. The fractional reserve lending system is the actual system that we uses to.
Is it Federal Reserve, or is it the Federal Reserve System? Is it Twist? Is it international? Blah blah blah.
The banks owns the Federal Reserve, so blah blah blah. It's the banks.
Okay, so the bank said every day at the end of the day we need to make sure that we are liquid, have cash. Because
you need to hit that excessive. You need to have X amount of money on the balance sheet at the Fed, basically.
But then I heard that it's not just cash anymore. That 10% could also be blah 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 or something.
Oh, 100% it is. I looked that up, and it just says that it could be either electronic or cash. So, and I looked at the bank's balance sheet, especially here in Canada, but I also looked at JP Morgan and others. They have less than 10% on their balance sheet, and on their balance sheet they have cash and alike, or it says cash and central bank reserves. So you don't even know.
Okay, wait. When we come back, we need to know all. I want to hear all that. It's 10% of what, and then they keep changing the what. See, they keep redefining everything to where, and it's gone now. I just see it coming. We're getting closer. John Steven's got a beat on it. He's going to explain it to us when we come back in just a little bit. Go check him out. TheEconomicTruth.org. We'll be right back.
Do you want more businesses?
You see what I mean? I need for me, certainly me, so I can sound smart when I, say it to people. But, this reserve, I'm going, okay, reserve, you don't have a reserve. Why we got reserve? What's the reserve? What makes you so special? I mean, so
that's a floating number too, because you got to remember the banks can print money, and then the reserve gets bigger, but it's like you still can now add more reserves because you created money out of thin air into the system. But I don't believe in to be honest with you, I don't believe that the fractional reserve lending system exists anywhere in the world anymore. I think they've gone completely, they're just whatever you back. They have some kind of limits on it. That's why you saw JP Morgan didn't want to borrow. That's what I heard from the experts that are even smarter.
You mean they didn't want to lend?
Yeah, they didn't want to lend. I always mix that up. And so what happened was that they didn't want to lend, and that costs cascading facility, and of course other banks probably wouldn't lend. And so people say that they're not sure exactly what it is, but there's another twist to this that I haven't mentioned yet, and that was the Federal Reserve's bought 90% of all treasuries since September. So basically, they're bad. Well, that's exactly what quantitative easing was, but it's not QE.
Okay. Now, see, this what I'm building up to. This is going to be my build up to question. Is I go, if they didn't have this slush fund of whatever the hell it is, or change definition or something, what would have happened to the banking system?
All the overnight, the repo interventions.
Yeah.
You would have total chaos, man. Like, it would be like
chaos. What does that mean? Total chaos.
Well, we mean bank runs. It would mean capital controls coming in. It's just the repo market started in 2008 as well. That's what started it all. Like the overnight lending facility.
No. This is my point. That's why I kept bringing it up to these guys. I go, well, it sounds to me like they're trying to prevent the next Lehman.
Oh, 100% it is.
Well, Peter said no. I'm going. Look, it sounds to me. Like they're setting this all up so that because isn't that what happened to Lehman? They needed money to pay off, make payments. So nobody would lend it to them.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what started the whole thing, right?
Yeah, and then they chose to we're not going to support Lehman Brothers. We're gonna what was the other bank? Now I totally forgot it. That they supported. Morgan Stanley. They supported Morgan Stanley, but they let Lehman go. So we're like, screw Lehman. But they had a ton of derivatives. And now, of course, Deutsche Bank is one of the major derivatives holders in the world. So I think Deutsche Bank has a lot to do with this. But also on top of that, you saw, as I said, the 90% of treasury spot, that means that nobody wants to buy U.S. treasury.
Yeah, no. We'll get into that. Yeah. We're definitely going to get to that. I just need to understand, why they're forced to this discount or this repo window or whatever the hell they call it.
Yeah,
and I'm
Fed needs.
Okay, they go. Why I didn't pay my payment overnight. If I did, sue me. I mean, what are they going to do? So I'm just like, they go. Well, we got 10%. It's called monopoly money over here. We classified this as whatever. We collateralized the furniture. I mean, something. Man, I'm not. Don't laugh. I mean, there's a line on a spreadsheet for it. They'll just say it,
Oh, for sure they will. Yeah, they'll collateralize any garbage that me and Josh were talking about collateralized raw sewage obligations. That's better than what we have today.
Collateralized what obligations?
Raw sewage obligations.
Oh. Hey, man, they sell it out to Palo Verde out here for the water. All right, here we go.
Updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock. To be a part of the show, call 602-264-2800.
Okay. We're going to be learnified more than everybody else because now we got some, Ernie understanding. If I can understand it, then you definitely can understand it. Okay, this is what's going on. At the end of you have the banking system. You got all these banks. They're taking your money and they're doing the banks, and we got banks for, hell, I don't even know what a bank even is classified as now. It's somebody's got my money. They got somebody else's money. Let's put it that way. So to make sure that they, don't lose all somebody else's money, and it's, insured by, FDIC, and we got regulations of this, and we have an SEC that says, and all these government protection agencies are supposed to protect us from all the stuff that they do to us. And I go, all right, well, they come up and they say, we're going to need, at the end of the day, you're going to need to be, I guess, liquid, cash.
Yeah, liquidity, that's what it's all about, yeah.
Yeah, but then they got to define that fuzzy word, And they go, well, it's kind of like liquid. It's kind of syrupy. Oh, there's little chunks in it. It's
well, if the water doesn't flow,
it's soured milk.
It's going to be chaos.
So then in 2008, you had Lehman Brothers, one of the banks, at overnight, hey, we need this much money, and then they go, nah, we don't want to lend to you. Whoa. This window of opportunity they have to balance their books is what? Hours, minutes?
It's overnight. So, basically, they put in a request. I'm almost certain that that's how it works. And then whoever wants to lend to them actually lends them that money. Yeah, lends.
So they lend that money to them, and then They go, thank you, and then in the morning, then they pay it back from check kiting of other deposits. So, so if they didn't have it that day, where did they get it the next day?
Well, how they manage to get access to this is they actually put forward collateral, so actual physical assets, but they put forward usually treasuries or mortgage-backed securities, which is the derivative of real estate, basically. So that's what they put forward up as collateral overnight in order to be able to borrow that money, and then they give it back the next day, basically.
Why?
In the morning, I believe.
Why?
It's to actually stay what you call liquid and solvent, so you don't go bankrupt. That's what it is. Because if
they're going bankrupt every day, it seems like.
Well, yeah, of course they are. They can't pay their bills, so the Fed has to intervene. And of course, what happened was that the Fed actually had to come in because the interest rate was 10%, and the Fed said, "Well, we'll give you an interest rate of 1.82%, I think it is now, instead of the 10%."
Okay, so they are propping up the banks that are really supposed to be out of business.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, now Deutsche Bank, they were having a bunch of bad loans and so on. They're not looking too good. So I got the impression that Deutsche Bank during this, this is in the last month or two, they took all their toxic assets, gave them to some banking subsidiary of, they look really bad. Man, you guys suck. But their books are looking good, are better because they're putting all this stuff on some subsidiary or something. How far off am I?
How they actually how they actually put forward these derivatives, they create something called a special purpose vehicle, a special purpose entity. That's a corporation that they take off the books their mortgages that bad or whatever, and then they put it into this business. So now what they do after that, they actually put these businesses into another business called a mortgage-backed security. So you have, a business full of 1,000 mortgages. Then they put another business full of 1,000 mortgages and another business full of 1,000 mortgages into this mortgage-backed security. And that's the way you actually, so they pay like a certain interest on that until, of course, the liquidity dries up and nobody can pay their mortgages out of underlying assets, and they can't pay them. And it blows up in everybody's faces like it did with the, and of course, mortgage-backed securities then gets tranched in with these collateralized debt obligations that blew up in 2008. Now we got collateralized loan obligations, which is the corporate debt that's going to blow up way higher than the mortgage-backed securities. So they create these derivatives like morons, and of course they play everyone because everybody's like, oh, you pay us, more than like the interest rate, because the interest rates are so low that savers are desperate. They go anywhere they can. They went and bought 100-year bonds from Argentina. That is known defaulter, serial defaulter.
No, they'll be good at least 100 years though. They've never made it, more than 7, 12? In my lifetime, Argentina has gone belly up at least 3-4 times. I'm going, holy crap, Argentina? That's where, Afghanistan is where empires go to die. Argentina is where fortunes get to go be lost or something. Come on.
Well, I believe I actually I wrote an article on Argentina. I believe it was 6 times that they hyperinflated and 6 times that they devalued. So overnight, 75% of your value or currency was gone, and you were set with only 25%.
That's just how they do
your pensions. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let me go and walk this through again. All right, so now we have the reserve requirement. Somebody put up their 10% to show that they're liquid. So I'm like this $150 billion or something that's being floated out there. That's a tsunami tidal wave is going to wipe that out in a nano moment. That's not going to, when this goes, that ain't going to matter. This is just, they're putting their fingers in dikes and so on. But when it does come, I don't see that there's going to, what are they going to do again? Can they reduce the reserve requirement from 10 to 5?
Well, that's probably what they're going to do. But there's another thing that they're also doing is that they're rolling this debt over that can't be paid, of course. And so, it goes overnight to overnight to overnight. But then it's like, well, we can't keep on rolling this forever. So what they started doing was that they started doing
All right, well, started
14-day terms.
Started when?
This was exactly, I'll tell you exactly, it was the 24th of September. So only this was only like a week after that they started the overnight.
24th of November.
Yeah, of November. And
Okay.
they intervened with,
So a month ago. This is only a month ago, okay? So
No, sorry, no, not November. My fault. September.
Okay, so this is
so right
1, 2, 3. So within the last quarter, okay? In this last.
Oh, yeah.
So a couple of months ago, they go like this. They say, we're going to need this overnight thing's not holding up, so we're going to need to have people to be able to borrow it for how long?
Well, that was 2-week terms. And then, of course, what
did you say, 2-week terms or week terms?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So 14 days, yeah.
So 1 day to 14.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So they had to roll that over because it didn't happen. And they're actually doing it on a regular basis. They're doing it.
No, if they can, they are. I mean, can they? Well, then they are. They're going to beat the crap out of it. Okay.
Yeah, they're doing about it 2 or 3 times a week. They have to do it. And then, of course, that didn't work out. So they started to do the 1 month term that they had to do. And that started on the 25th of November. And then they done one on the 2nd of December. So that's the 2 ones that they had to do to keep on rolling it even further out because, well, I'm pretty sure somebody's insolvent and nobody wants to tell anyone, right?
Okay,
but then, of course, that's not just it. Let me just quickly finish here.
Right.
So they had to add not QE on top of this, where they actually had to, add, I think it's like $50 billion more on top of that they had to buy in treasuries because nobody's buying treasuries. People are exiting out of the world reserve currency, the US dollar. Nobody wants to hold US dollars as collateral anymore on their balance sheets at central banks. Russia sold all of theirs. China is still, keeping going up and down. Japan has been selling off a bunch of theirs. And of course, Cayman Island holds a whole bunch of them. But of course, that's just,
Fed.
The Fed. Yeah, exactly. And then Belgium suddenly bought 300 billion worth, like in seconds. And of course, that's the Fed again. They just have like subsidiary, trusts somewhere that they, got to shove the money. Also, like, Belgium, bought it.
I thought that was, I don't know, if not illegal, at least not done or prudent or whatever.
Well, that's supposed to be the Panama Papers.
Really? So I thought that the Fed was like, they weren't supposed to be monetizing debt. I mean, that was, no, they don't do that. They would never do that. They taught me in school that they don't do that. And I'm going, they're doing it, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, that's what QE is all about.
Like, all right, we're going to find out when we come back. That's what they be doing.
Are you feeling confused about the current economic reports that dominate the headlines? Not sure if this is a good time to buy or sell your home, or feel like the process can be overwhelming and confusing? This is Donna Hancock with Silver Alliance Realty in Phoenix, Arizona, and I can take some of the guesswork out of the home buying or selling process, providing you with market trends in your area and detailing what to expect before, during, and after the process. A home is a place where the most important moments in your life happen, so making sure that you know exactly what to expect along the way helps to ensure that you have control. The future is here, so let me help you move forward with your real estate needs. Being in the real estate business for almost 20 years now has afforded me knowledge of the market, networking with industry specialists along the way. Now more than ever, you need an agent that can help you make sense of what many think is a complicated and mysterious process. Feel free to call or message me at 602-828-1819. That's 602-828-1819. Or visit my webpage today at donnahancock.com.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash.
Okay, Donna, where did you find this article? Okay, she was searching for something. She found that. Here's the Washington Post. I got you there?
Yep.
Okay. It's a Washington Post thing, and it goes, let's see. They did this $75 billion a day thing, temporary, blah, blah, blah. Was that enough? It did calm the markets, eventually bringing the rates down to around 2% by September 19th. The following week, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York began extending these temporary loans for beyond 1 day in what is known as a term operations, whatever the hell that means, and provided a set schedule.
Because there's a term, man, 14 days or whatever.
A set schedule for their future repo plans. It has since beefed up to its overnight operations, continued to offer swarms of longer-term repo funding. The central bank went on in October to buy Treasury bills from the marketplace as a method to more permanently add reserves to the banking system. Those actions have quelled the mayhem, yet market participants are wary issues will reappear at year-end and other key times. Okay, I'm going to come back with that real quick and confirms everything you're saying, but it's also, I can see that this is just a delaying action. It's what they always do. It's a one more election cycle, you know? And when this hits, it's going to be a tsunami. It's like their $100 billion ain't going to mean shit. You know, it's like a slow motion train wreck. I mean, what are you seeing?
Well, they actually added $400 billion worth of assets already. So that's with like on their actual balance sheet. That's what they keep on their balance sheet now. They added, so they're up.
Who did? Who does?
The Federal Reserve. They just like with these other options. So remember how they?
I thought. Wait a minute. I need to have this question answered first before you go on, so I understand what's going on.
Sorry.
They would, Federal Reserve. I thought. So they do or do not buy, national debt or treasuries and so on.
100%.
Okay, they do. So why are they saying they don't?
Shit. Well, they're full of shit.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Well, there we go. All right, okay. I need. All right, that explains it. All right. I was wondering what the hell are they talking about? This they're telling me that. All right.
Not QE. This is like the biggest joke ever. Like,
okay.
I laughed when he said that. Yeah.
All right. Here we come.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Freedom is the answer. What's the question?
I want to break free.
You're listening to Ernest Hancock.
I want to break free. I want to break free from your lies. You're so self-satisfied. I don't need you.
Okay, this is what Donna found. This it's called "Repo Market's a Mess." What's the repo market in the Washington Post? Now, this is, we've been talking to, the boys and the gals about, kind of whatever, but it was John Sneesen that, sent a text in and said, hey, man, they're going week and month. They're just, whenever, however long they need it. I mean, so here in this article, it goes, was that enough? It did calm the market. This is Washington Post. It did calm the markets, eventually bringing the rates down to around 2% by September 19th. The following week, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York began extending these temporary loans for beyond 1 day in what is known as term operations, whatever the heck that means, and provided a set schedule of their future repo plans. It has since beefed up its overnight operations and continued to offer swaths of longer-term repo funding. The central bank went on in October to buy Treasury bills from the marketplace as a method to more permanently add revenues to the banking system. Those actions have quelled the mayhem, yet market participants are wary issues will reappear at year-end and other key times. What happens at year-end and other key times?
Well, remember what happened back actually at this date last year. You had it was last year on the 23rd, which is actually the birth of the Federal Reserve back in 2013. But the 23rd, they passed it right over when nobody was around.
1913.
1913. Yeah, sorry. And you had Mnuchin called last year on the 23rd. He had a call with the big banks. And then he just came out and said that, don't worry, there's no liquidity crisis. Was there? Was there a liquidity crisis? And of course it was, because it popped up in September that they had to do this overnight lending thing to keep the banks afloat with liquidity, as they call it, having been able to, settle whatever debt they owe overnight. So of course, they were basically bankrupt. There was a liquidity crisis back last year, exactly at this time, where you had, the markets dropped like 20%. Everybody, they had several like derivative ETFs like faltering. It was complete chaos, and of course the Fed came in and helped a little bit by saying that, oh yeah, don't worry, we're going to cut interest rates. Everything's going to be fine. And of course, what's called the plunge protection team came in and then basically buys up whatever assets they need to do.
Whoa! The plunge protection team has that power.
Yeah.
I mean, to buy up whatever the hell they want.
And I think this also comes back to the exchange stabilization fund that I think I did a thing with you and Tim back in Acapulco. Oh no, I did one with you as well, I believe, where we talked about the exchange stabilization fund, the massive slush fund. That is basically what it is. It's an exchange stabilization fund for the US dollar, so they can manipulate the US dollar to be more stable by bailing out other currencies when they get in crisis. They bailed out. They have a $3 billion credit line to the Mexicans to make sure that the peso stays more stable. So basically, it's a fund that's in there, and guys like Rob Kirby and others here in Canada have said that, oh well, that's used for the plunge protection team uses that fund to then be able to get.
Go ahead. The president's committee, something on financial whatever. It's a president they created after Black Monday in the late '80s or something. And it is when this kind of stuff happens, all of a sudden we're going into crisis on Friday, and by Monday they fixed it in their plunge protection team. Yeah. And this is Ron Paul was running for president in 2008. There was one debate they get to ask one of the other candidates a question. So he asked John McCain, blah, 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 what would you do on the yada, yada, yada? And nobody knew what the hell he was talking about. I go, he just punked him right there. I don't know what it was, but he just punked him. So Pal Gamble, my senior editor, and I went and looked it up, and it was the plunge protection team, what he was talking about. And, of course, John McCain had no idea what the hell he was talking about. So what it is, I think it makes up the head guy from the stock exchange, it's the SEC, commodities market, whatever. Some of these guys that involved in the markets, and they just do what? Buy
collaborate.
Stuff?
Yeah, collaborate to buy to make sure that the market stays stable and not go down. Because if you get deflation in the system of any kind of sort, with the highly leveraged, over-indebted system that we have today, it's a complete collapse on our hands. So they have to do whatever it takes to not make a market, an asset go down in price, because then you have, mayhem in the markets and everybody's losing their shirt because everybody's, leveraged with what's called margin debt and all these things that they get, a whole bunch of debt and bet on assets to go up. So it's just a cascading amount of debt that will come down if, you have a 1 or 2% drop in something. There might be, a whole bunch of debt that has been attached to that. So,
what, $23 trillion wasn't enough debt? I mean, they need a little bit more. I mean, 23 trillion, and they need 150 billion. You see my point?
It's like the Deutsche Bank has $43 trillion worth of derivatives, right? And that's like, what is the GDP of Germany? 5-point-something trillion? It's insane.
Wait, say that again. So Deutsche Bank has 40-something trillion in derivatives.
Yeah, and you could go
and you're going to paper that. You're going to Band-Aid that over with $150 billion overnight.
Well, it's nothing. Actually, think about this. Deutsche Bank's share price back in 1992 was $44. It's currently $7. That should tell you something. With all the crazy inflation that we had in markets, Deutsche Bank is down, about, 80-90% in value? What the hell? That's
okay,
not,
all right.
So corporation is up.
So they were talking about, it's year end. There's some other key times. What's year end key time? What are we going to find out at year end?
Well, I believe year end is a lot of settlements going on in treasuries and other assets. So suddenly, chaos could erupt because there's somebody that needs something, or with these repo things as well, that, suddenly there's also like, oh, heck, somebody had a big shortfall or something in their budget and needs money. And that's what could happen potentially at year end. And that's probably what we saw back last year that happened, that there was shortfalls. But now, of course, they are, working on all fronts right now in order to, be able to put out capital to anybody that needs it. All this debt just slushing around in the world. And of course, the Federal Reserve has added about $350 billion in September on their balance sheet that they bought. So this is not the overnight lending rate is just a line of credit that, creeps on renewing itself, and it disappears the day after. But they actually added on top of that about 350 something billion as of the 18th of December. So that is
what? Where'd that come? Hey, you keep throwing billion here, billion there. We're talking real money, man. You said there's 300 something billion they added from where to what?
From September, from the 17th of September till now, 350 billion, and that's mostly actually treasuries. Because there was an article that just was out that said that the Federal Reserve has bought 90% of all U.S. treasuries issued since September. So basically, that's another thing here. It's not only the banks that are struggling, the government is struggling because nobody is willing to buy their bonds anymore.
Wow.
The U.S. as a reserve currency is falling apart. Now, we've been, with Josh and everything, we've been on this for 4 or 5 years. And others have been, even way further than us, maybe 10, 12 years ago that they started to say like, well, the US dollar as a world reserve currency is going to falter. And that's what you're seeing. You've seen the distrust. You've seen, China was a couple of years ago that they created their own futures exchange in yuan instead of, settlements. So the settlements in for oil and for gold in yuan instead of US dollars. So people are moving away from the US dollar. Even though that people are pushing into the US dollar currently because it's the world reserve currency, you've seen like in 2008, 2000, when you had these market crises, everybody piled into the US dollar. But when everybody wants to come out of the US dollars, there's nowhere to go. So
the silver's starting to take a jump up. I'm always checking on silver. Silver's starting to, I know some guys doing futures and options, whatever, silver going, but because the option on it was so cheap, because they were planning, silver's never going to go up. It's junk metal. They go, oh, really? Okay, anybody like you, knows, going, yeah, we're going to get some. But crypto's gone down, too. What's going on? Is everything going to explode, here directly? What?
Well, actually, Tim and me talked about this in our 2020 prediction that we did with Josh. And what was said was that there's a lot of fear right now. And that was the same case when, crypto and others goes directly up. So the fear index is very high. That means that potentially, they could just go through the roof again when something, breaks again, because that's the problem. Like Bitcoin is kind of a bank insurance, I call it, where, gold and silver is the wealth insurance to protect my wealth. Bitcoin takes over when you have capital controls and bank.
So you can move it.
Your money is, yeah, exactly.
We'll be right back.
We have some good news.
Yeah, we can yak it for a little while. All right. Now, so let me walk this through so I can, tell you what I think is going on, so that we didn't even get to talk about, for the archive, talk about your thing in Winnipeg, your event. How's that going?
It's going good. We are actually launching tickets today. So there will be actual physical tickets for sale now, and our new website will be up. So that's really cool. I'm very excited about that.
Well, I need banner ads and stuff.
Yeah, it'll be coming within the next week or so. Right. We'll have all that ready. Yeah.
All right. So let me walk this through. The reserve banking system of the West and part of the dollar and whatever you want to call it, twist system, whatever. We have decided somewhere, some way, from 20 to now 10%, and any day they could change it to 5, which I'm sure it's going to get overwhelmed by whatever. But they have reserve liquid requirements of the participating banks. For them to be able to meet that obligation and whatever other contracts they got to pay, they have to have the money to do it. If they don't have the money, somebody's got a little extra and they'll lend over here, and then they make a little extra on the overnight money. But if nobody's got the money or everybody's needing the money, then there ain't no money. So this is when we start getting into what happened in the 2008 is kind of what happened, right?
Yeah.
Nobody had the money.
It's been
let me walk it through.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
So then you have the Federal Reserve comes in and says, we need some more money in the money places that need money. So we go, here is the money that you need. You can borrow from us overnight. Then they make it 2 weeks, a month, and forever. So then what is that? Is that a dog?
Yeah, that's my dog. Just give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking John had children now or something. I was thinking you had a baby.
Yeah, sorry, I'm back. No, it's my blind and deaf Chihuahua. She got stuck somewhere and started whining.
Okay, so then you have the reserve that they're supposed to show liquidity every day, which is a joke, but they do that. And then they said, well, you got money from us. Now, additional money that the system needs because the system needs. So they are creating treasuries, buying them themselves, putting it on the Fed's balance sheet, and, printing a bunch of money into the system. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And this, yeah.
So now we're looking at this is to prevent what happened to Lehman and started the cascade of everybody owes everybody. So they want to have a big giant slush fund that you just make up another, crank up the printing press. And I'm going, okay. What the limits that they're looking at is for what's coming. When you have even a sneeze of these derivatives, it'll cascade and it'll blow over a couple $100 billion toot sweet. This is not going to be nothing. They got to have some big plan or just bankrupt or it goes or adding zeros to money or something. What is the next phase for what they're going to have to do?
Well, the next phase is going to have to be a complete, I call it Japanification. So basically, Japan has bought a whole bunch of assets. They own 86.11% of all ETFs that they had to buy because that collapsed. They own stocks, they own bonds, they own real estate. That's the central bank in Japan that owns that. They had to buy those assets in order to keep the assets from collapsing in value. Because it's, 1980s, Japan has been in a demographic cliff that has been going downwards. And that doesn't work with a fractional reserve banking system that constantly need debt to go up. And so that's what we're facing as well with our demographics. You guys as the baby boomers, you're getting older. You need to,
hey, who you calling baby boomer, man?
No, you're like on the
senior citizen. I'm a senior citizen of Generation X.
Oh, okay.
I think I skipped the baby boomer thing.
Yeah, you don't want to be a baby boomer. Darn it.
All right.
That's funny.
So with this kind of understanding that this is the signs of the end, what are we looking at here? Months, years, days?
Well, I think what's going to happen, Ernie, is that we're going to head towards, the crisis that we had back. Remember when Obama took over, he said like, oh, I'm not going to bail out those banks, and then turned around as soon as he got into power and did the TARP bailout, Troubled Asset Relief Program, which is basically the taxpayers' money. Now people said, oh, well, that was paid back. There's no problems with that at all. But the problem is that, what about the 4.4 trillion that they had at the max at the Fed's balance sheet? That was a whole bunch of more assets that was bought and offloaded there. So those have not been, they haven't been able, actually, they tried to sell them off. They came from 4.4 trillion down to 3.76 something. And then, this crisis started to happen. And then they had to unload $350
How did
billion.
Did they ever clear this stuff? I mean, is it, just vacant homes sitting in the whatever? I mean, what are we talking about?
First of all, I don't know who would buy garbage in the first place. These mortgage-backed securities and probably treasuries they might have bought. That might have been what they offloaded. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you, Ernie. But again, it's just crazy how they even managed to sell some of this off. They actually, let's see where they go. It would be about 700 billion that they got rid of in almost like a year and a half span. But then it only took 2 months to add half of that back. So it's when you invest in something, you got to have an exit strategy, and the Federal Reserve doesn't have an exit strategy. They're just going to keep on buying these assets until there's no assets left to buy, basically. And then I wrote an article like 2 or 3 years ago called "The Federal Reserve will buy everything, will own everything, then nothing," because there's nowhere to exit out of. Nobody would buy those toxic assets that they bought. And when that happens, well, they go to zero. That's as easy as that.
Okay. So this ends how?
Well, you're going to see the balance sheet of the Federal Reserve just inflating massively. You're going to see, of course, all the unfunded liabilities in the United States, all the debt that, like the bonds that they have to create in order to be able to. I think the deficit will probably increase over the next 4 or 5 years up to $3 or $4 trillion just in a natural stage, but that's not even accounting.
So you're not seeing an overnight soon thing. All of a sudden, boom! It won't happen all at once, but then it happens overnight. You think it's going to be a more gradual thing, or is there going to be, oh my God?
It's going to be a big crisis that's coming. That's for sure. That's going to be an overnight thing.
Well, what's holding it off? I'm wondering what the hell is holding this thing off. There's something holding it off.
Well, the current interventions are holding it off. They got to get bigger. We went through the numbers. They got to increase them.
All right, we got to do some more. Yeah, I'm going to have you rescheduled. I got to get to the next hour here. Hey, thanks, John. Talk to you later, man.
Yeah, have a good one, Ernie.
Bye.
Have a Merry Christmas.
You too.
Yeah, bye.
Live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Today, let us make them remember. We are not afraid!
Yeah. Got to get caught up with Adam Kokesh in the first hour of the Trump Report. We're going to have Frank here in just a little bit, but, he's always late, so I go. Adam wants to do his thing. Now's the time to do it while we're waiting on Frank. God, that's so predictable. All right. Now, Adam Kokesh is running for President of the United States of America on the Libertarian ticket, but he wanted to announce today they're having Christmas tomorrow. We're just going to do some Christmas. Tell everybody what you're doing, Adam.
Well, Ernie, you can't introduce me as a presidential candidate. I'm not some kind of psychopath. I'm running to dissolve the federal government.
There you go.
I'm the none of the above option for 2020. I did an interview with Fox DC last night. They put that on the headline. I love it. Even the mainstream media is starting to get this. And so KokeshForPresident.com, check it out. But more importantly, I'm really honored you gave me this chance to come on today, Ernie. It's been too long, first of all. But tomorrow, on Christmas, we have a very special live stream, and it's not often that I think there's a really good occasion for, a big live stream event. But, I'm a child of a broken home myself, and one of the coalition groups that we have for this campaign that I'm so excited about is Victims of Family Law for Kokesh. And the reason I'm so excited about it is it seems like it's a black swan waiting to happen, a major event here, because everybody in America is touched by government screwing with family relationships, whether it's a divorce or some custody battle, or you're worried about your kids being taken by CPS or DCF or whatever alphabet soup agency in your state is funded by federal money through HHS to kidnap children. It's sick, and it's something that Americans are often bullied or shamed into silence on. If you speak out, maybe you're a deadbeat dad or a bad mom or something like that. And I think Americans are sick of this. We're ready to put our foot down and say no more. But for tomorrow, what we're doing is the Kokesh Christmas Suicide Vigil Christmas live stream for people from broken homes. And I know that suicide goes down around the holidays and that it's a myth that it spikes around Christmas. But it only goes down by about 10%. That's still 90% of normal suicide rates happening around the holidays. And I would wager that while it goes down for people who are able to come together as families, for people who can't, then I don't think it goes down much, if at all. And what we're doing is putting together this live stream from a lot of the great people on Team End the Fed, our campaign team. A lot of our coalition leaders are coming together. So I'm going to be kicking it off, talking about my experience with veteran suicide, talking about guys coming home from the military, from combat now, getting fed pills by the VA. We still have a problem there. It should be a national embarrassment. As soon as we got 22 veteran suicide a day as a headline, America never should stop talking about it until it stopped. And it's an ongoing epidemic.
Well, how do
We've
they
got
access this event?
This is going to be on my Facebook Live, on my personal Facebook profile, facebook.com/Adam Charles Kokesh. And there's promos for it on all my social media stuff. You can find it through my main website, thefreedomline.com or kokeshforpresident.com.
Okay, so that seems like a cool idea. Well, what are we looking at as far as participation limits? I mean, is it like a video thread, a chat room messenger thing? What?
It's going to be a 12-hour live stream from noon to midnight Eastern time tomorrow. And we're going to have all these cool people from my team on, just on a live stream, talking, answering questions. We have a lot of really powerful experiences on our team.
Well, I mean, is it on Facebook? Is it a Facebook tool?
It'll be Facebook Live. Just Facebook Live, facebook.com.
They have a live thing? Is that what they got? Okay.
Yep, regular live video stream there. We're doing Zoom on the back end
okay.
so we can have a continuous stream and have guests on. Chris Cole, who's the director of our coalition Victims of Family Law for Kokesh, is going to be doing the next 2 hours with guests. Then we've got Eden Donabella, gun owners for Kokesh, also a Marine combat veteran. Then we've got Kenny Marshall doing military for Kokesh, and his experience is something else. I'm really looking forward to hearing the full version of his story. We've got pastors Helen and Peter Yeeple, who are doing the Walk for Change. We've got Joey Lee, Stoners for Kokesh, talking about suicides versus overdoses, which is a really underexamined problem that people haven't really put into proper context. And I love hearing her talk about that. And then Samantha Miller, who does Erotic Entertainers for Kokesh, and our press secretary, Marcus Poulis. It's just an incredible lineup and a real chance for people to come together on Christmas who don't have anybody and want to address these issues and want to be motivated by it. I think a lot of suicide comes from a lack of self-love and a lack of sense of purpose. And you know this as well as I do, Ernie, that when you realize government is the source of the greatest injustices in the world today, there's no higher sense of purpose than you can have as a human being on earth than to fight the biggest injustice, to slay the biggest dragon. And so we also want to share a little bit about that with people, whether it's, our activism or this campaign, really just taking this opportunity. Hey, if you're alone on Christmas, come hang out with us. We're going to share some really deep stuff and hopefully inspire and motivate you the way that we have inspired and motivated ourselves with the message of freedom.
I'm thinking that might be interesting. It'd be like after the whole 12 hours is done, that there's a documentary done on the stories. Because this represents a big chunk of the problem that people try to take advantage of by getting you to donate this or do something or whatever, and actually having people that are personally affected tell their stories and so on.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I think I got better things to do on Christmas, with my family for me, but for other people, this might be what saves their life.
Yeah, and it is one of those things where you go, it's a good time. It's going to be people coming together who wouldn't have people to come together with otherwise on Christmas when they're feeling lonely. And if you touch one person and save one life, it's all worth it. But we're also not just going to be having a good time. We're going to be, educating and informing people about the issues of suicide. If you have a veteran in your life, and I'll tell you now, you don't have to tune in. If you have a veteran in your life who's going to be, or anybody who's a vet, who might have some tendencies that make them a higher suicide risk. Make sure you reach out to them during the holidays. If you have a family member who's separated from the rest of their family, or someone who's, their kids are on the other side of the country this Christmas, reach out to them with some love and make sure that they have that support. And whatever it is that we do to reduce the suicide rate around the holidays, we make sure to make an extra.
Well, how do you start it off? You go, don't do it, don't do it, and we're going to give you a reason to not do it, and we're,
of course you don't want to like lead people into it like that or have that
maybe
kind of
not,
dramatic,
maybe I don't know
approach.
Well,
I mean, as we used to say in the Marines, if you kill yourself, devil nuts, I will chase you down in hell and make you do monkey effers until you puke.
Yeah.
But I don't think that approach works for everybody.
Yeah, whatever it takes a young mind to, get them motivated. This is, I think necessary. I mean, it'll be, better than not. I mean, it's, something you're not doing any harm. I mean, I think this would be, I'd like to hear what happens after. This would be a thing. One thing, hold on. Frank's not here yet, if he's even coming. He's coming in tomorrow. We're going to do a Christmas show like we did Thanksgiving because our wrists keep getting slapped in the pots and everything. They're coming over for Christmas dinner. And so we'll, be in here and we don't get in trouble. But, I'm, so I don't know. He's supposed to be, but he's not. So what we can do is the next segment, can you say another segment and I can talk to you about the campaign? Let's do that. We'll be right back. Adam Kokesh. From the second letter of Captain Mark. Any pirate knows that commerce is communication. Markets condense oceans of information into a single price. Innovations in communication are circumventing the scrutiny of the crown. This signals a change in the coin of the realm. The crown uses digital currency to surveil, censor, seize, and destroy wealth at will, so pirate currency must protect us from this weaponized money. We need to move funds further, faster, cheaper, and without third-party observation, basing decisions on an accelerating flow of information. So pirates require nearly instantaneous transactions with no arbitrary limits on volume or artificial influences on fees. Most importantly, a pirate currency must preclude centralization. Otherwise, it will become another link in our chain to the crown. A superior currency will result in the obsolescence of the coin of the realm and the extinction of the crown itself. Trade above the grid. Join us at pirateswithoutborders.com.
Japan grants suffrage to female robots, and a hypochondriac maple tree is always convinced it has Asian longhorn beetles. The following two statements are true. The previous statement is false, and this is the Onion Week in Review. This week, Americans nationwide were stunned to hear horrific allegations on Wall Street revealing that numerous junior bankers have been forced to survive on a mere $6,800 per week. The findings, which implicate numerous high-profile financial institutions such as Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, and Citibank, suggest that hundreds of first-year bankers are constantly deprived of basic necessities, including penthouse apartments overlooking Central Park and regular company-financed vacations to the French Riviera.
Many of these bankers are 23 or 24 years old and don't even have access to an expense account of over $50,000 a year. Not only that, but some of them are making as little as 20 times minimum wage. I mean, this is truly disgraceful.
This is the Onion News Network.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest-running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, you know, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com, advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
To be a part of the show, call 602-264-2800. 602-264-2800. And now, Ernest Hancock.
Welcome back to Declare Your Independence. Yeah, Donna's putting up some more pictures for Adam, so we're not looking at always the the thing tomorrow. But that's a cool thing. But what I wanted to talk about is the campaign, the Libertarian POTUS, President of the United States of America campaign for the nomination at the Libertarian Party National Convention is going to be in May in Austin, Texas. So I'm going, okay. Tell me everything about the campaign. What's going on? I have not been paying attention. Other, Jacob Hornberger coming on, talking about his thing, and then, a lot of the other guys, and we had you on, some of the other candidates. So you've been to some debates. There's been some conventions. There's been something. Tell me everything that's going on, Adam. Go.
Everything. How many hours do we have left?
Go.
No, it's been amazing. I'm on the road. I'm in California right now. We've got No Force One, the bus on the road. We got a great crew. We're building momentum every day, recruiting delegates. Had a huge interview last night. Fox 5 DC went really great with Jim Loke. Looking to do some more interviews.
Well, send a link.
Send
a link.
Yeah. It was a great interview. A lot of fun. Super fast TV, and I dig those. It's a fun challenge, and we're really excited about gearing up for the spring tour. We've got most of the spring mapped out. We're just waiting for Washington State to announce their convention date, because my family's in Washington. My mom and my brother and my cousins, they're going to be delegates from Washington State, so I'm really excited about that. And just getting all over the country, spreading this message. The thing I hear more than anything else, and I think this should kind of set a new standard for the LP. We have to speak for the people who aren't being represented in the political dialogue. 40% of Americans who are eligible to vote never vote. Presidential turnout, never much more than 60%. And in off presidential elections, sometimes as low as in the teens. It's crazy. And what I hear more than anything else is, I don't normally vote, but I would come out and vote for that. And it is so reassuring. While we're traveling, we get stopped at gas stations. Hey, what's this campaign about? Give away books and palm cards. And yeah, I don't normally vote, but I'd come out and vote for that. And I know we're on a winning message when we hear that every day.
What's that winning message?
We're going to localize government down to the community level where everybody gets what they want. We're going to take the federal government through a bankruptcy process, and we're going to take back what has been stolen from us, our inheritance, our birthright, our freedom, everything that we should have as Americans. It's been
But who gets the aircraft carriers?
Well, Ernie,
are they turned into condos?
Yeah, right. Well, there is a big process in liquidating the Department of Defense, where we're going to localize the legitimate defensive resources down to the states.
I want an A-10.
The rest get de-weaponized and liquidated, and turn towards productive purposes instead of the destruction of the military. And man, I'm just reading the news this week, hearing about billions spent in DARPA, and they're running war games to simulate.
I know a lot of people think
versus people. Why can't we figure out how to make war obsolete?
Yeah, no, I think people there go, yeah, but what happens with it? I go, I'll scrap it for all I care. It'd be cheaper, I'm not as afraid as they want to make you out. There's got to be a big bad boogeyman of whatever. And I'm just like Yamamoto from after they bombed Pearl Harbor. He goes, hey, man, we can't invade the mainland. There'd be a rifle behind every blade of grass.
Exactly.
They can find out in Virginia. They're behind every pine tree.
Well, or as the founders, we're against any kind of standing army. They knew that the best defense was a well-armed population that refuses to be governed by anyone. And as Gandhi proved, the well-armed part is optional. When the American people say, we're going to put our foot down, we're not putting up with this crap anymore, we're not going to let the federal government exist. We don't need it. It's a bloated bureaucracy that destroys lives, hurts people, and steals from every American on a continuous basis.
All right, well, tell me how the interview went with Fox DC last night. They're going like, okay,
Perfect.
what are you doing? How long did it go?
No.
What did you tell them?
No, I think we've gotten to the point where the mainstream media is taking an attitude towards this campaign of, well, that couldn't possibly be a serious threat. He's a libertarian with a new idea. Oh my gosh. Well, let's put him on for entertainment purposes. And then they hear me and go, huh, whoa.
Never let him on the air again.
that makes a lot. With the libertarian guys making a lot of sense. Funny how they have a tendency to do that, isn't it?
I know. They don't dig it. In the 90s, it was, this is what they would say. We go, look, man, this is, the truth about, what is it, because of your advertiser or this guy or what? And they go, oh, our sales department and news department are totally separate. And you look at, and they say it with a straight face and you go, right.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're just BSing me, So I have no respect for these guys. I don't give a crap. I'll tell you in the break, but Donna and I are liquidating everything, putting it in sea containers, and we're already bought a bus and conversion, and we're hitting the road starting May for a year.
Well, when we win the nomination in May, we're going to need you on the road too. And we need all the help we can get.
Well,
right now,
I tell you what the focus is going to be. It's going to be on this vaccine thing, the mandates and eliminating exemptions and so on. It's not just how many minds you can free now. It's how many lives you can save. This is so, I know a lot of my, even libertarian friends or conservatives and different, think tanks and groups and discussion groups and everything I go to, and they're just like, Ernie, there goes Ernie again. Crazy Ernie, you just crazy. And I'm going, you guys have no idea how much this is going to break loose. This is everybody, oh, you're crazy. Oh, no. And Big Pharma and Science Settled and all this other crap. And I'm going, wow, this is going to be so big. And so many people are so pissed. And and it's all the same reasonings that we use for everything. It's going to belie all kinds of crap that's going on, the corruption of everything. So it's something done. I think economically the dollar is going to be abandoned and all kinds of bad stuff's going to happen. And I don't want to be getting all ready to move and relocate and buying and building and everything in the middle of all that crap. So now it's a good time to do this, and we're going to do some good, and we're going to hit the road. But does the road suck?
Statist roads. Yeah, every time someone says drive safe, it's like, well,
No. I mean, just being on the road, does it suck?
Oh no, I love it. It's amazing. It's an adventure, and getting to meet new Americans every day, getting to meet random people. I love it, and we are so poised right now. Not just the Libertarian Party and movement, but this campaign, even especially. Like I said, we need all the help we can get. If people want to help us get media exposure, spread the message. Like I said, Marcus Poulos, our press secretary, is doing an amazing job. We've got a volunteer media team backing him up. And, this is just the opportunity that we have going into politics, is to say, like, look, we can grab people's attention, and we can, if they're going to have an election and force the results on us, we got to have a say. We got to have an opportunity. And that's too good of an opportunity to pass up to get a righteous message out. And so, if people want to help, please email me, adam@thefreedomline.com. If you want to be a delegate, remember, the only way to vote in the Libertarian primary is as a delegate at the national convention. My team can get you plugged in. We've got 5 regional coordinators. We've got almost 50 state coordinators, and it's just an amazing organization. So I hope you'll join us. kokeshforpresident.com. Thefreedomline.com is my main email. Or my main website, adam@thefreedomline.com, if you want to get me directly. And man, I'm excited about this, Ernie. Like, I really think even without a black swan, it's very reasonable to expect that the Libertarian Party can crack 10% in 2020. That we can have a breakout year.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking. They, them, those are worried about. That's why we got the Bars and the Welds and the Johnson, all that stuff. That's what's been going on. And
well, Ernie, it kills me when you mention that. I got to say, to hear libertarians complain about who the nominee is of the Libertarian Party when they're not engaged being a part of that process. It's not hard to get involved with the LP. You know,
Hey, I was engaged. I was still pissed off.
Yeah, okay. Well, you're going to be pissed off anyway because you're Ernie Hancock.
That's right.
But this is an opportunity where it's so easy to show up and make the Libertarian
So
Party
who are the
what you want
contenders
to
in
be.
this thing? You know, we have, of course, yourself and a Bumper and some of the other guys running, but there's a big giant slew of, oh my God, I wasn't even looking. I mean, whatever. You know, so, so give me what's going on. What's the field look like?
Well, you know, every cycle there's about a dozen there's people who file for the Libertarian nominations.
Yeah, but got Vermin Supreme though. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I love Vermin. Vermin
I know,
is a great
he's awesome.
performance artist. I'm so glad he's really firmly on Team Freedom now with the Libertarian Party. There's a big expectation now that Lincoln Chafee is going to jump in, and I think he'd be great for the party. Good dude. I've met him. But really what it comes down to is who wants to take a new direction for the Libertarian Party and get a consistently principled message on the national stage, at least for the first time since 2004 with Michael Bednarik, who I'm grateful to have the support of in this as well.
Everybody just goes, oh, Bednarik didn't do that. Bednarik didn't. He didn't freaking go communist. That's what he didn't do.
Yeah, right.
I'm going.
He
Bednarik was.
message.
I felt good about that. I was proud to.
This is taking it to the next level, Ernie. This is actually doing something that has the potential to unite all Americans, getting past ideology, getting down to the principles that make us libertarian. Instead of saying libertarian means this government thing should do this and this should be this way and that. No, just you can have as much or as little government as you want, as long as it's voluntary. And if you want to make that for yourself at the community level, where it's a group of people who choose to be a part of your community, you don't force it on anybody, you don't hold anybody captive. I want you to have the freedom to organize whatever kind of government you see fit, as long as it's voluntary in your community. That's why this is the everybody gets what they want strategy. It's more libertarian, it's more uniting, it's more American, and it's more principled. I'm not going to put on the ring of power and pretend that I'm some magical, benevolent dictator who's not going to be corrupted by it. No, this platform is we're going to take the ring and throw it directly into the fire. We're going to disown the debt to form banks and governments and corporations. That is a form of
all right, Frank A. here. Go another segment. Tell me all that crap. You know, how you going to do it and doing it. You know, I guess Frank's not coming in today. You think? Yeah, we're going to do Christmas tomorrow, so I guess he figured he'd take off, be a wimp. You know, I
love it. How do you keep Ernie out of the kitchen at Christmas time?
Put him in front of a microphone, right? Well, no, what happened is I always did a Thanksgiving show. The networks, I go, well, don't you have like a family or anything? I do the morning show. I go, yeah, that's why I'm here. You know, because I keep getting my wrist slapped every time I go into any pot or the kitchen. Screw you, I'll be back, because we don't eat till like 1 or something anyway. So I'd be back by it. So it gives me something to do and don't get yelled at. So I just always did Thanksgiving. All right. Now we're going to do Christmas. All right, here we go.
DLive.lrn.fm. That's DLive.lrn.fm.
It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Yeah, I got something to say. I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. I just don't. Well, okay, I'll care a little bit and let Adam explain it to me. All right, this is what's going on. There are a lot of candidates running, and I just want to get an idea of the events that you've had debates. There's been different state conventions you're at, and doing it. Just kind of give me, how the landscape lays out. You know, who's doing what and who's got the most organization and the delegates of the ass whipping of going to convention and have raves and whatever. Let me know. Tell me how it's going.
Well, I'm pretty confident at this point saying that I've been to more Libertarian Party state conventions in the last 3 years than anybody else. As of the last FEC report, we raised 10 times as much money as all the other campaigns combined. We've got 5 regional coordinators locked on. We've got almost 50 state coordinators locked on. We've got more than enough people who have already signed up to be delegates. It's really just a matter of us organizing them at this point, making sure that they're getting to their state conventions, that they know what the requirements are. there are a lot of great candidates. Of the ones that I've been with on stage at the last handful of debates, we had South Carolina, Ohio, Massachusetts. There's not one who I've seen that's running at least a serious enough campaign to have made it to the debate stages already who I wouldn't support. And I do think they're all like, I'm the only one with the campaign platform with a message that is actually at that standard of ethics that we espouse as being behind libertarianism. And I think there's a fundamental contradiction in saying, well, you should be free, but this person should be your president, or I can put on the ring of power. I'm special. I'm going to be a benevolent dictator. And I think they all kind of give into that flaw, and that's their fundamental weakness and really plays to my strength. I'm kind of surprised there haven't been more people running on a platform like this in the past.
But I want my free pony.
Yeah, right. But there are a handful of candidates, like I said, who are taking this seriously, who are going to the debates, who are getting around to state conventions already, and they, for the most part, they all represent, at heart, a principled message and they'd all be, good representatives of the LP who I would support if they got the nomination.
Has Jacob Hornberger been in any of these debates yet, or done any of that stuff?
No, I don't think so.
So
he hasn't been in a debate with me anyway.
Has he got? Has he got any kind of attention when you're around? Does anybody, notice that he's announced or in it or what?
Well, it's funny. What I've noticed more than about him in particular is that there's kind of, our support is really, really solid. Around 50% when we look at who are the actual delegates, the party activists, who's going to be there, who are the serious people engaged in this campaign. And the other 50%, the people who understand that this campaign draws a line in the sand, it's an ethical line.
Yeah.
Hey, we don't need a president. We need to do better than this. They don't go back. It's kind of like you don't convert and then deconvert. And the 50% that,
well, as long as we're going to rule that way.
Right. The 50% that's not on board with this new direction for the Libertarian Party, with localization, it kind of goes back and forth between these other candidates, and people are saying, well, oh look, it's going to be you versus Weld, and then it's going to be you versus Amash, and then it was going to be you versus Kim Ruff, and Kim Ruff was really taking all of that, anything other than localization, or the constitutionalist demographic vote, and now that's been split, and a lot of that went to Hornberger. And then, Lincoln Chafee's going to jump in. And so,
Lincoln Chafee, sort of, I hear this name. I don't know who, what?
Former Democrat and former Republican, former senator, former governor from Rhode Island.
Oh my God! So he's a actor. Never mind. Next.
Well, so a lot of people suspect that we got Gary Johnson and Bob Barr and Bill Weld because outside influences wanted the party to be weak. We had stronger candidates running against them every time. And, going back to Bob Barr, how much better would Mary Ruwart have been as the nominee? And instead we got an establishment guy. And, there's a lot of people saying, Adam, you just got to get your people in and guard against whoever the establishment is going to try to force on us, the grassroots. And so that's really the motivation for this hustle. And I've seen some weird things. I don't want to, speak too much to rumors, but of different money behind different caucuses, behind different candidates. And you never know who's going to come in at the last minute. Personally, I like Chafee. I don't know. Obviously, I think he'd be the wrong strategy for the Libertarian Party, but I'm excited for him to run.
Run, whatever. I'm not. No, I don't give a crap that they had experience in government. That's not like an asset to me, and I'd much rather have you up there going, yep, well, somebody's going to have to oversee the bankruptcy proceedings.
Yeah, right. And thank you for that, Ernie, because, really this message could be described as, hey, America, let's do things the easy way instead of the hard way. This is the easy way. The hard way is we wait for it to collapse. Keep our heads buried in the sand, hope that government spares us in its violent death throes as it desperately clings to power.
Okay, let me give you my view.
We'll get a little bit of our stuff back.
All right, let me tell you what my behind-the-scenes thoughts are and how this works and whatever. of all the guys that are running and everything, I don't pay that much tab. I don't care. But I know that it's going to be about delegates. I mean, that's all it is. It's going to be delegates. And if you got the organization of delegates, then you win because you got the delegates.
Right.
Then there was the threat that the Coctopus was going to be putting in Justin Amash, and they're doing their thing, and I'm going, yay. Like I don't need that crap. So I'm going, all right, so Justin Amash is going to be another Republican and explain it to us and how we're going to do it. And I just got a note, Frank will be zooming in the third hour, slacktivist. Anyway, so the can you go to the end of the hour?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Okay, this is my spiel as we go into the break here. I just wanted to give you my spiel, and then you can try and convince me otherwise. The Libertarian Party has always been kind of the nexus, the high school dance where you go to find out where the real party is, and the cool people. So it's that's why I go, because there's so many people. They just go and just see other people, and screw these guys. We're doing whatever we're going to do anyway. If the National Convention produces a candidate that kind of understands that and serves the interest or the philosophy of the locals, if they got a message or something, cool. If not, they do what they want anyway. So what happens is I've seen the anarchist movement or the voluntarist or what the real creation of the Libertarian Party was for back in the day was the education of the people that sucks. Well, that has always been 15, 20%. Now it's 30, 40%. Yeah. It's growing. Yeah. It's like, then they're like, woo, we're worried. So then here comes the Justin Amash threat. Oh, we're going to explain it to you one more time. And if not him, some other politician, I don't give a crap. So here's Adam comes out and goes, you know what? I think it's going to be pretty clear the easiest way of this. We just dissolve this thing and do the Iceland deal and we're done. And I'm like, okay, yep. I think that discussion should be done. But then here comes Jacob Hornberger. I've known Jacob for a long time. He is the hardcore, good kind of, libertarian Ron Pauli type that will use the Constitution as a framework and do it the right way, blah, 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 blah. So I'm going, okay, so I see, if it's not going to be the Amash thing needs to be slapped around, it would be Adam Kokesh and Jacob Hornberger. Here are two hardcore kind of guys. One do it within the system kind of system. The other guy asks, screw it. And we're just going to have to just come to terms with this is over. The finances we just did in the last hour with John Sneesen, that it's going to go. And all the signs that it's going to, here it comes. Yeah, and I'm going, it won't happen all at once. You'll see the dawn breaking on the horizon, then all of a sudden, overnight, boom, it's a Monday, and we're going, what the hell just happened? Well, when that happens, Adam's there with a plan.
Yep.
Jacob's got a plan too, but it's it's inside the system of the plan. But that debate, that discussion, that's the one that I want. That's a discussion. If you're going to do it, and within the framework of, all right, fine, you got this kind of Ron Paul Constitution thing. I've known Jacob for a long time, and he'll do a real great job representing. Then we got Adam going, I don't want to represent. I want to eliminate. We're going to do the bankruptcy. Then you don't got to worry about it no more. Go down to the vote.
That's real representing.
This is the discussion inside the Libertarian Party. They, them, those, they definitely don't want this discussion. What shall they do? We'll find out next segment. Crimes of the Crown by Captain Mark. The Crown casts the world in shadow and claims to be our guiding light. Cowards clamor for security from boogeymen and ghost stories. While I say these hobgoblins are imaginary. I say those they propped up as our liberators are now subsisting on our bondage. I say there is freedom in the black, and that's exactly where we intend to go. The Crown banishes its own officers for exposing its crimes and tortures dissidents to the brink of madness. It dominates the globe and swallows the wealth of generations, leaving only blood and excrement. The Crown calls it piracy to explore frontiers beyond its grasp. So the time has come for us to define the conduct among pirates. I say the Crown has trampled our necks long enough. Need decentralized solutions to centralized problems? Looking for a community of like-minded scoundrels? Or just want some swag to let the Crown know what you think of it? Join the conversation at pirateswithoutborders.com. We won't be hard to find.
Free Talk Live.
It's not just zoning rules, it's everything.
It's true.
It's everything.
There's so many rules.
So many laws. You can't possibly know them. It's physically an impossibility to know the laws. You know not to hurt other people. I don't need a law telling me to do that. But the rest of them? totally inaccessible.
It's true.
It's written in legalese. If you don't have training in reading that crap, it might as well be a foreign language. And as you pointed out, it doesn't matter if you can read it.
I thought I had them dead to rights. And these bureaucrats, they just like, no, we do whatever we want here at the zoning board.
Yeah, that's right.
And you'll kiss our butts.
Peon, serf,
you'll
slave.
You'll do what we say.
Yeah. Why label them citizens?
Oh.
Why not just call it what it is? You're a serf. You're a slave.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it.
Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's
okay. When we come back, I want to get the schedule between now and going to convention in May. And which weekend is it? It's May what?
Well, it's on my phone calendar, so I'm going to have to pull my phone away from my face for a second or put you on speaker just to read the calendar, but I have it all laid out. I can do that really quick.
All right. No, I'll just have you, give us a lot of different conventions and everything.
Yeah,
Because Jacob's going to be, he said he's going to be here in Arizona convention. Are you coming back to Arizona?
Of course. So you think the establishment would line up against him to keep, or that like the same money forces that want to keep the LP weak would line up to support Hornberger to keep me from getting the nomination?
There's nobody inside. Yeah, Jacob's not going to have any of they, them, those money. They fear him as much as you. I mean, inside, they don't want either of you. That's definitely because Bumper represents kind of this Mises thing. The Mises Caucus and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of wondering about this because I've been a member of the Mises Caucus from the beginning too. But I was really kind of surprised how he launched his campaign, like directly lying about my platform so bad that he had to, it was intellectually dishonest.
He was even talking about your, well, I don't want to get in the ouch quit it until we have both of you on the show.
Well, he had to print a retraction and then
May 21, 25, Austin. All right, here we're coming back. Here we go. No batting.
Freedom's the answer. What's the question? You're listening to Ernest Hancock.
Yeah, we got the Watchtower. All right, what are we going to do to the Watchtower? All right. We have, Adam already wants to sling some mud. Jacob said this about that, that fibber. Okay, so
no, I'm grateful that
we're doing campaigning already. Here it goes. Okay, what I want to do is all right, we'll do some inside baseball. It is because I hate this crap. This is who's supporting whom for what. Where's the thing coming from? Who I definitely, the status quo inside the Libertarian Party, Nick, okay, let's put it this way. I don't want to say his name, but his initials are Nick Sarwark, okay? So Nick has been, he moves to New Hampshire, and he's always saying nice things about Bill Weld, even running as Republican, and I'm like, what the hell is that? You don't say that stuff without some goal or a mission or, that's not like, oops, I said that out loud. I mean, there's a thing going on. So I don't know what the hell it is. Don't care. But the thing is that I think there are at least two entities. There are those that want the libertarian message to get out and educate people and kind of general public opinion, and there are those that don't want that. So then you go, all right, well, how do we do this? Well, what Adam is doing, it's like, you take these to a logical conclusion. Now, we're better off without these guys. I mean, this is not working out. I mean, how much evidence do you need? Then you have, like, Jacob comes up, and he's kind of, the Constitution and, kind of the Ron Paul thing. This is, so, of course,
right.
Here comes the let me finish. Here comes the Mises Caucus and the Mises Group and the Lou Rockwell, Jeff Dice, Tom Woods, Stephen Kinsella, Bob Murray, that kind of type. They're like, oh, Jacob, man, he's our man. I can see it coming. I understand the reason behind it. I'm glad he's there. But then you have the other side to where it's kind of this anarchist, voluntarist, libertarian, we're just who we kidding, let's just, freaking them, we're done with it, and Adam Kokesh. Adam has been working really hard for past couple of years on making sure that they understand the mechanism, and you get the delegates, and you get, you're way down the road on that. You got, hey, it's just about, who you can get to the convention. So who are the players here? My opinion is that you got the the Levolutionary kind of Ron Pauli, Mises, Lou Rockwell kind of group, and then you got the Mises Caucus of Michael, what's his name, that is kind of doing that. So they got their plan. There's Jacob, that's part of their plan. Then you have the establishment doing whatever the hell they always got a plan, and you don't know about it until the end of whatever, but you can pretty much count on it. They don't want the Libertarian Party to be as successful as it can be. They're afraid there's going to be another Levolution, or all of a sudden Jesse Ventura got elected governor. What the hell just happened? So that's what they're afraid of. Then you got the Adam thing that's out there. Yeah, let me tell you what it's really all about. And you got, in my mind, there are three main segments like that. And then you got everybody else, and it'll kind of consolidate into one of those three. Your view is different. What?
On that? No, I agree with your general breakdown there. I would just add that the people who are trying to keep the Libertarian Party weak, and remember, we're a very small, low-budget party compared to the Democrats and Republicans who operate
Kingmakers!
at about $400 million a year each. There's definitely room for black op budgets around all that money, and it would be a shock if they weren't trying to manipulate the Libertarian Party.
No, they wouldn't do that. That'd be wrong.
Right now, of course. That would be wrong. But no, they just want to make sure whoever the strongest option is for the Libertarian Party doesn't get the nomination. And like I said, I don't want to speak to things that are sort of based on rumors, but I've seen enough.
Adam Kokesh and rumors are surrounding his anything. Oh, heavens, the Murgatroyd,
yeah, right.
That would never happen. All right, so all right, just say it. Say what you want to say. Go.
I think America would be better off without the federal government. This is the future. Anybody who says we still need a president is on the side of the establishment, and that's what we're seeing after having drawn this line in the sand. If you say, we need a president, we need a constitutional government, we need to keep this thing going, well, you're going to have all the same special interests lining up behind you as any establishment politician when there's an option to say, no, we're going to pull the plug on the whole thing, because that's what they're really afraid of.
Okay, so in going around to the states and so on, what are the delegates? Because, the convention's made up of the delegates. And a lot of times,
right.
A lot of people, they just pay their $25, they show up, and there's an opening somewhere, they get sat, and that's how they bus in people for whatever anyway. So,
right.
I'm going, okay, do you have the hardcore, actually, I want to be a delegate, send me, pick me, I'm sleeping like cordwood in some Airbnb that Adam did in the back of his bus.
Exactly.
Okay. So,
carpools, Airbnbs, we want to support people logistically, financially, who need that to get there. Anybody who wants to be a delegate to support this campaign, we're going to be supporting you.
All right. Who do you think is going to be? God, that's so hard to tell. When you do these, sometimes it goes 5-6 rounds of voting, because you have to have 50% plus one, and there are just so many factions that will not give it up, and and they drop off one at a time. They drop. Then those candidates suspend the rules so they can get up and speak an endorsement of somebody. Blah blah blah. So this goes on for freaking ever. And how do you think it's going to be the top 4? Say.
Well, I think it's too early to call.
I know.
I know that my team's going to be going in with over 50%, and if we're not shenanigans out of winning it on the first ballot, then
plan on shenanigans. Shenanigans galore.
But we're and I wouldn't be overconfident saying we've got it locked up. There are a lot of people within the party who are infiltrators. There are a lot of people who are constitutionalists, genuinely constitutionalist libertarians, and I respect them, and to show them that localization is a better way is part of our job over the next 5 months. But I'm very confident saying that we're coming in with the biggest single campaign organized delegation of support, and we should have okay, all right, significantly over 50%.
I'll tell you, you could, if you work hard enough and you got it, man. If you got over 50%, you got over 50%. This is the way it is.
Yep.
And when they did delegates here in Arizona as a test going in the New Orleans thing. God, you had 20-something of the. I mean, they're like, damn, Adam did this. I'm sure they're relatively concerned because you've been demonstrating you can do it.
Warm up.
Yeah, no, I know. Okay, I get it. All right. When you go to the convention, this is going to be the two main issues that I'm focused on for this election cycle. They're both property rights. One is my body, my children don't belong to the king. You can't force notions and potions into the vaccine thing. This is mandates and exemptions, kind of like, oh, this is just definitely going to blow up in their face, and there's no getting around it. So we have that. The other property issue is like, you living up in Ash Fork or me finding, because I want to do, Don and I are eliminating, getting everything into storage. And when we finally get done with this year on the road, we're going to be boom. Here's where we're going to build a home out here in the desert somewhere. We got some place scoped out. We're going to kind of, I want to do. Well, no, it's going to be down in the desert. But this is the thing. Well, I got grandkids, man. Come on. So this is what happens. I want to know the origination story for when some lobbyist, politician, bureaucrat, somebody went to the American people and said, here in America, instead of just build a log cabin, you got to have a permission slip from the crown to occupy your own land. You can live on the sidewalk, make the business owner clean up your hypodermics and your pressure wash your crap in the gutter. If it pleases the crown, may I occupy my own land? And they go, no. Well, I want them to say it. Because I'm just like, when did this happen in America? That it's not your land. Well, the colonial dollar, the patent before don't care. I don't care what you call it. I want to know what the guy that stood up, vote for me. I'm going to make you get a permission slip. I want to know the origination story, and I can't get that from anybody. So I'm going to ask this question, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could take a guess at it from what I've seen. I don't think I shouldn't say a guess, but at least present a partial narrative, because I've dealt with this at the county level. I've dealt with it at the city level. And I think it's just a part of the development of the general bureaucracy of the zoning racket.
Sure, of course. But there had to be. See, they do. It always comes back to building codes, and even goes on to the UN. It's just universal planetary crap.
Evil people do is necessarily well thought out. Sometimes they just creep into more and more evil, policy by policy.
They have to attack the nuclear family. The family is what is the problem. And the family being able to live on their own land without somebody saying they can't, that is too much of a power or an independence against they, them, those. That's all it is. And I'm just going, but it seems like it was planned. It was part of the progressive era or the Soviet commie whatever turn of the century at the end of the 1800 kind of. I'm like, I just want to know the origination story. Somebody came up and said, you're better off if you get a permission slip. And I'm going,
well, I think that goes back to the crown.
Of course it does.
The territory.
But I wanted the origination story here in America, because that's when they started taking us over. When you can't go and plop on your own land and put that tent on your own land, when you can't do that, that's when it was over. Because now you can do it on the sidewalk, though. And I'm going,
not over, Ernie.
Somebody explain. Well, I'm willing to fight.
Is spreading the message of liberty, crypto.
I'm sorry?
Not if I have anything to say about it.
What, you're not going to fight? Just screw them?
No, I mean, it's not over. It's not over, not if I have anything to say about it.
Well, I don't mean over for freedom or us. I mean over for this illusion of control that they have. I
know. I just don't use. Over for the illusion of. Well, I don't use.
This is what I got it from Paul Rosenberg. Years ago, I asked him one time. I go, man, it was really getting more crap. And I go, God, is there a point at a peak tyranny? I mean, there's only so far you can go. I mean, it's like you kill all your slaves or something. I mean, is there a peak tyranny? He goes, no, I don't think there's a peak tyranny, but I think we're reaching peak obedience. And I go, oh, that's good. Peak obedience. What happens when you hit peak obedience?
I do have to go. I have someone waiting for me here.
All right,
but I really
cool.
appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, no, it was a good show. Thanks for filling it in. It worked out good.
Yeah, it was fun. And I will see you on the night of the 1st. And if it's okay, we'll be parking No Force One at your place, and then I'll be coming in the morning to do the show.
Okay, we the night of the 1st. Does Donna know this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, then that's all I need to know because I don't care.
All right.
All right.
Sweet. And I'll keep you posted on the time. I mean, we might be getting in, just so you know, like we might be getting in late on the 1st.
Yeah, whatever.
In which case, we'll just park in the driveway, sleep, and you'll see us in the morning.
Yeah, just don't wake me up. That's all I just care.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Yeah, we don't have to wake you up.
All right.
All right, Ernie.
Peace, brother. Bye.
Peace and love, brother.
ShireSociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Declare your independence with Ernest Hancock continues after the news, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,485. Silver at $17.43. And Bitcoin is trading around $7,297. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high-availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at InnoScale.net. In the news, with President Trump's signing of the National Defense Authorization Act on Friday, he created the newest and sixth branch of the military. The first since the last branch, the U.S. Air Force, was formally established in 1947. General John Raymond, the commander of U.S. Space Command and Air Force Space Command, indicated that 16,000 active-duty airmen and civilians currently serving in the Air Force Space Command will be assigned to the just-established Space Force. From there, it will begin to get slowly up and running as its own branch. Without sharing details of the plan, a senior Air Force official said on background, because he was not authorized to speak on the record, there will be 30, 60, and 90-day benchmarks to meet. Where it took 3 years to stand up the Air Force, he said the Space Force hopes to be off and running in 18 months or less. That includes, he added, sending a 4-star officer to represent the service on the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The new command's social media and recruitment efforts were fast up and running. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals. High-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven and believes so strongly in the power of kratom, they're giving it away for free. Just go to freeounceofkratom.com for a free ounce of kratom delivered to your door. Just pay shipping. That's freeounceofkratom.com. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Find us online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. Your news now continues. Prominent human rights activist Tito Magadi was abducted in broad daylight by 5 unknown people in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, and is now being detained by police. Activist Post reports that Magadi works as a public affairs officer with the Legal and Human Rights Center. He was abducted on Friday at around 10 o'clock in the morning as he was on his way to purchase a new mobile phone. That's according to a statement by the LHRC. Police denied having any information about Magadi's whereabouts when the LHRC first reported him missing on Friday. Magadi's abduction echoes a chilling trend toward the disappearances of journalists, human rights defenders, and opposition leaders in Tanzania since 2015, when the president, John Magufuli, first took office. The mythical Florida man has gotten a bad rap, with the meme buttressing a stereotypical narrative that gives one pause when looking at news stories from the Sunshine State. But in this case, the Florida man is actually a real-life hero, whose actions represent the giving spirit of the holiday season. The Mind Unleashed reports that when U.S. military veteran Michael Esmond got his utility bill for December, he couldn't help but recall how he had once failed to keep his home warm as he struggled with financial difficulty. Since that time, Esmond has seen his fortunes improve as he became the owner of a successful small business called Gulf Breeze Pools and Spas in the Florida city of Gulf Breeze. With his past misfortunes in mind, Esmond felt like paying it forward as he went to pay off his gas bill for December. Esmond contacted his local utility provider, and asked if he could pay off the utility bills for those households that were at risk of having their gas and power disconnected. He eventually paid $4,600 worth of debts for 36 families. Rather than receive warnings that their homes will go dark, families will now receive cards from Esmond. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
Republicans back a plan for universal lawn care, and an RC car works up the courage to approach a group of girls. And now a recap of the week's news for those who like to waste their summers surfing the internet. Fall, the long-running series of shorter days and cooler nights, was canceled this week after nearly 3 billion seasons on Earth. The classic period of the year, which once occupied the coveted slot between summer and winter, will be replaced by new stifling humidity levels and near-constant sunshine. A shiny, bobbing object in the water is generating fascination among members of the fish community, who have described it as pleasingly wiggly and minnow-esque. Aquatic experts say that decisive action must be taken against the object very soon. In local news, just when 27-year-old Andrew Sheets didn't think his vacation could get any better, a rerun of Spin City came on. And in other headlines, a bee stuck between the screen and front door is going nuts. And a water skier lets go of the crossbar to greet those not currently water skiing.
This is the Onion News Network.
And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Today, let us make them remember. We are not afraid!
Interfered, except that Dr. Frank didn't make it before the music was done. He was late. He was late. You did. All right, you there, Frank? I heard the kableep. You there?
I'm here. How you doing?
See, you couldn't make it before the music stopped. And all you had to do is push a button. You're killing me, man. You're killing me. All right. So tomorrow we're not going to do a Christmas show because you got like babies and stuff.
Yeah, well, supposedly I'm hoping Santa swings by here. So, if Santa does not, because, the thing is, you have to understand, I'm not sure. If I get presents tomorrow, because I asked Santa for some things, actually the brand new Tangerine Dream box set.
Of course.
But if I don't, I'm hoping to get it. And if so, I want to spend time with the family. And believe it or not, it's a little more important than politics. The one thing for the year. However, I just want to make a deal with you. If I don't get any presents, then I will definitely do the show. Because I've been thinking this over. Santa Claus sounds more like a progressive, doesn't he? Like he just gives stuff out to everybody. So I'm thinking if he knows I'm a Trump supporter, because I got a big Trump with a Santa hat in my house, he may skip me over. So
hey, I pay Santa in good deeds. If I've been good, I've been nice. That's my payment. Damn it, fork it over.
Well, I have a feeling that I think that Santa's probably a Trump supporter. That's kind of my feeling about it.
Oh, did you see the story I did?
Wait. I mean, think about it. Donald Trump made it legal to say Merry Christmas again. So I have a feeling he's probably a Trumper, but can't say.
Well, I saw. Did you? Obviously, you did not see the story that I did.
Go ahead.
It's a story of a Santa Claus. Yes, America, there really is a Santa. Okay, this is a story that I put up what happened, Laura Ingraham had this story. I don't know where I came across it. Somebody sent it, maybe you or so. I don't know. It was a guy that for 48 years, he hit 48 years. What did he start when he was 12 or something? 48 years he's been the Santa at this one mall. Well, he had a big Facebook following, a lot of friends. There's a lot of Trump supporters on there, and they're happy, Merry Christmas and all that. So he, in his Santa outfit, he took a picture with a MAGA hat on and then posted it on his Facebook thing. No kids involved. He didn't wear it at work, or wasn't nobody around. It was just a private thing that he did with his fans and put it up there and thought it'd be cute. Boom! They get him fired from the mall.
Oh, God.
He goes on Laura Ingraham. I'm sorry. He's kind of apologetic. She's like, tell him to get bent, man. But he's just like, just like Santa would. He's like, look, I don't want to politicize for the children. I just got to get back to the children, miss the children, love the children. And the whole thing, I'm thinking of Miracle on 34th Street. It was that kind of thing. They went after him. I mean, when the SJW, when the politically correct police go after Santa Claus, and this guy is like a real Santa Claus. He was like Miracle on 34th Street Santa Claus. When they go after this, I'm going, man, there's got to be some Rubicon got crossed. You know what I mean?
Yes. You're completely right. That's it's something like that will cross it. I mean, the left tried to do it with that Greta, the Greta Thunberg, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
I mean, they tried to make that, a young 12-year-old girl with a handicap, I mean, that became, and they tried to make that the Rubicon.
Oh, is that her thing? She's handicapped in some way?
What's that?
She's handicapped in some way?
Oh, yeah. She has, and guys, some of you listening probably know better, but she either has either a low form of autism or something like that. So she's, and that's why the left keeps trying to scream bloody murder about Donald Trump, because when he mocked her because of her stance, right? I mean, after all, she's nothing but a puppet to the left and George Soros anyway. They've proven that Soros was behind paying to prop her up for the world stage. But that aside, they're saying, "Oh, how dare he? It's a young girl." And she's handicapped. She's a mental challenge, or I forget. If you want, just pull it up if you're curious. But she has something like lower autism. So they're making it even more so that Trump is so low. He's going after mentally handicapped young girls. I mean, it was nothing but a setup job. George Soros said, anything that he says against what this Greta says, they're just going to pound on him. And, of course, no one's listening anymore. Heck, I mean, hopefully no one's even listening to our show. The rest of you people should be enjoying your holidays.
They are enjoying their holidays.
Don't even listen to us. What the hell?
What are you talking about? This is well, if we're not going to do it tomorrow, Donna, go ahead and call, let Ian know that I'm not doing it if you're not doing it, because I'm not doing it.
All right, look, Ernie, let me tell you, we're real serious. I don't want to get too business stuff on the show, but I really would love to do it. Matter of fact, I'm sorry I crossed the wires for today, but my daughter, she's 2.5, and
oh no, you can't miss that one. No, you got to do that one.
First time she just understood Santa Claus. She's waiting for Santa Claus. We have a chimney. Our new house has a fireplace. We've been doing Elf on the Shelf. She's like all stoked, waiting for Santa to show up. So I got to make sure something happens. So.
Yeah, no, we gotta get that. That's But if you grow a beard and lose a couple of pounds, you could be Santa Claus.
I have to. Well, thank you.
Somebody said that to me one time. They go, if you grew a beard and lost a couple of pounds, you could be Santa Claus. I'm going, oh, I'm sorry, man. I go, no, that was pretty good.
Well, it's all good. I hope it's going to be a good Christmas overall. I think not just for us, but for everyone listening and the country. I really, it's funny. I hope it's going to be a break for people. I hope it's not too stressful. I mean, kind of like with Thanksgiving. And we'll talk maybe after the break, but it's interesting that the momentum of this impeachment issue, this joke of impeachment, which we'll talk about later, because I'm pretty depressed about it. I was thinking of going to Pete Buttigieg, because I'm so depressed that they impeached my president. I'm so shamed. I've been hanging my head every day now. I can't go outside in public. But anyway, we'll talk about that. But it's interesting that they impeached him, and now with this holdup, this whole political game, it's right now with the holidays, with everyone basically taking a break from it. And Laura Ingraham, I think, actually speaking of her again, made a point that, you start to deflate the momentum. because normally people are getting all riled up, and all of a sudden, you just check out. This is why I'm saying it's therapeutic not to listen to our show right now. But the thing is, people check out, and then they talk to their family, and we'll see what happens. And then people come back, and I think people are just finally throwing their hands up, saying, "I've had enough," and they're checking out of it. So this political game, I don't know. I don't know if it benefits the Democrats or not in this just little poker game that I think they're losing, and they know it. So your take on it? What do you think about the momentum?
I
of the
think
holidays?
they them those are going to do exactly whatever it is they them those want, and they just need you not to get too riled up about what's going to get forced down your throat. And they're doing everything they can to try and put fear, uncertainty, and doubt of it's going to go to crap, and they got to fix it and do it this way. And they take more freedom, more property, and more value, and restrict the land more, and restrict, and they want more money. It's just that's what always happens. They go, well, who do you think's going to win, Ernie? I go, the government. Okay, so. It doesn't matter who you vote for; it's going to be the government, and they keep pushing this back one more election cycle. But those, are they keeping it together for Trump, or are they keeping it together for them? And I'm thinking that there is a coalition between those and President Trump to even have anything left. If they thought they could get away with a little recession and lose Trump in the process and people not support him, they'd do it. But if they let it go, we talked about this in the first hour, all the mechanisms that they got trying to cover over what happened to Lehman before, there's a tsunami of debt coming. Then I don't give a crap how much. Man, you better crank up that printing press. I don't think a calculator goes that high. It is going to be overwhelming, and then what? I have no idea. I have no idea. From the sixth letter of Captain Mark. A pirate's life is characterized by voluntary interactions. Unfortunately, the Crown presses everyone into involuntary servitude. Landlubbers believe slavery was abolished years ago, but the Crown still claims to own us when it crimps us into service against our will. Given sufficient ambition, it would gladly draft thousands of hapless victims to kill or be killed. It's simply slavery by another name. Landlubbers are routinely commanded to serve the so-called justice system in jury duty. But before you swell with civic pride, consider that how you feel is irrelevant to the Crown. You will appear as ordered or face punitive measures. The Crown insists that you participate in your own oppression. A jury summons provides pirates with a unique opportunity to obstruct injustices. A juror can vote not guilty, even if it's proven the law was violated. A juror can acquit for any reason at all, and not even a judge can reverse that verdict. Receiving a jury summons is basically winning the sedition lottery. But if you reveal that you know this during jury selection, you'll probably be dismissed. If the Crown foolishly crimps a pirate into jury duty, it behooves the pirate to conceal their intention to nullify unjust laws. If a master takes 100% of your labor, it's called slavery. But if they only take 50%, they call it taxation, a difference of degree, not of kind. Whether the Crown claims a fortune or a cent is irrelevant. Most of all, a slave owner desires contented slaves, meaning thoughtless ones that accept their bondage. These house slaves see no contradiction in being drafted in a war to end slavery or summoned to a jury to prosecute tax evasion. An ideal slave knows no higher call than the master's will. The Crown's highest ambition is that its slaves revere the authority that subjugates them. But the Crown does not own me. I will not surrender my time and treasure to the Crown's ambitions. Join the conversation at pirateswithoutborders.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of...
All right, we can do some kind of prediction stuff. We got to do a next week's show. It'd be, you're going to do next week and we can do predictions?
Yeah, definitely. We'll do that. You there?
Yeah, I'm just
doing
some stuff.
That's fine.
Have you heard about our road trip thing?
Well, you're talking about your van and all that, your truck that you're getting. Yeah.
Yeah, we found the bus. We bought it this last weekend in New Hampshire. Jay's picking it up and doing Bob and him and Derek. I've been scoping it out. Derek was going to buy it if I didn't. He's like, oh, hell yeah, I want that. I go, nope, mine. So,
hey, it was interesting. Joseph, we'll be seeing him today. He's like family for us. And anyway, he was asking about you and Donna and what you're doing. I told him about the bus and all that. And anyway, I was chatting with him, and he was surprised that I told him you were going to do a satellite dish and make the whole thing remote, and this whole thing is going to be all high tech to do it. And I was telling Joseph that I'm hearing other people doing this. Who else of note in our world? Tim Pool. Yeah. He just decked out his van to do the whole thing remote. And he's doing the same thing. He's like, you know what? There's no reason to be in a studio and be in some elitist New York or some production area, because the real action when the economy goes is going to be on the road. When there's riots,
I'm looking forward
when there's
to
different functions.
Well, I ain't going to no freaking riots. I'm running away from them. I'm out in the lone.
Well, I'm just
kiss
saying,
my
in many ways, that's where the news is, and you'll be able to do live
I don't
shows
care.
everywhere.
I'm going to the news of I just left. Wow, let's go talk to people who want to leave. How about the ones that did, All right,
come on.
Hell yeah. Nope. Here we go.
Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
To be a part of the show, call 602-264-2800. 602-264-2800. And now, Ernest Hancock.
Oh, yeah, private eyes, they're watching you. That was one thing, this whole FISA thing coming out of the Trump deal. They go, well, yeah, we're gonna really examine these, and we're gonna be doing some wrist slapping, and we're gonna keep doing it. That's what they're gonna keep doing, So I'm looking at this FISA, whole concept of the FISA thing. What up with that, Frank?
It's interesting that the FISA courts that have been in the dark this whole, or at least from the public's point of view, finally have come out, and they said that they were raked over the coals. Well, they themselves were lied to, and they supposedly came out raking the system over the coals over it. I'd like to see the next report.
Did? Who says
we have the next report coming out? Wait. But the thing is, remember, the FISA judges were lied to, and one of my frustrations has been this whole time watching this is the linchpin was the FISA court giving the permission to spy on the Trump campaign.
That's what they're there for.
When it came out a year and a half, 2 years ago, that the information that was used for the FISA court was made up by the so-called, bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton, dossier. It's like Sean Hannity saying that, but it's true. I mean, when they found that out, and they knew this a year and a half, 2 years ago. Imagine if you're the federal judge, the FISA judge, and you're sitting home and you just got hornswoggled, or did they? And that's been the question. If you never heard from them, were they part of it? That was, of course, the conspiracy point of view. Or was it that they were bound to be quiet about it, even though everyone else is leaking every day? But I always wondered about the FISA judge. Who was that person? Who were the people involved? And did they know they were hornswoggled? And how goddamn pissed were they? That's the question I've been sitting back waiting for. And that seems to have been coming out, how angry they are. So I think that's a missing link to the story when this thing gets exposed more.
What's the missing link? That they were what? I don't. What? Of course they know they were hornswoggled. They're part of the swaggling.
No. Well, I just think that would be a powerful part to this. I know from your point of view, it just doesn't matter. Who cares? Blah, blah, blah. All right, let's get that out of the way. I'm just saying that in this entire story, though, there's certain linchpin people, many people that we don't know of yet, right? That were integral into this. Some people are power players that maybe the Republicans know of and the liberals don't. But you need something that's going to be forced out into the open that both sides are forced to acknowledge. And the FISA judge is that person. Remember, that FISA judge was like the domino. That was the one that had to be triggered. And it came down to one person. And it's a person kind of like with the whistleblower. Everyone's wondering who the whistleblower is. And the name that cannot be named, Eric, whatever his name is. I would say it if I can pronounce it.
Yeah, who gives a crap?
Anyway, I would say anyway, screw the man. But anyway, the thing is that person is like the linchpin for this whole impeachment deal, right? But the linchpin for the entire FISA abuse, Russiagate, Deep State, James Comey, the entire goddamn thing, in many ways, you have a FISA judge that in theory took an oath to do what's correct. And remember, this FISA judge probably had no clue what was really going on. They were presented with this information, probably couldn't believe that the system would be that corrupt to lie to them. I mean, when you've got the most powerful people in the DOJ saying, this is why we think we should be able to spy on a U.S. citizen running for office, they must have taken it pretty damn seriously. I mean, if you were the FISA judge, just forget for a minute and don't be too conspiratorial that they were all part of the whole thing, smoking cigars. They had to push. Remember, you have to remember, they went to the FISA courts first, and they refused the order to spy on Trump. So they had to go back to the drawing board, and that's when they came up with the dossier thing, and that is what pushed it over the edge for him to sign off on it. And now we found out that what pushed it over the edge was a goddamn lie. And so the FISA judge and the court, the whole system involved, has been made a complete fool of by these people. So that's why those are the people I want to hear from. These are the names of people we don't know who they are yet, who I think can really be game changers, publicly on both sides.
All right.
It just doesn't matter, right? Is that what you're
this is the FISA court.
But do you understand my point, though? Do you understand why it's a linchpin kind of person involved?
Yeah, no, the linchpin is that, that the FISA court even exists. They are there to do this. That's why they're there.
Well, that's a fair point.
When you got these guys coming in for the FISA warrant, they're just like, any county attorney can indict a ham sandwich. I mean, they know they're going to get, what do you need? Here we want, because he's bad. We don't like Trump. Here it is. You'll sign this. And they go, come on, man. You'll give us something. I mean, holy crap. Okay, we'll be right back. So they go get the steel. Yeah, look at that. Okay, boom, they stamp it. I'm going, it was just like what happened with Moody's and S&P and all these guys when they're giving AAA ratings on stuff. Well, give us a reason. I mean, we can't do, all right, well, we traded them back and forth for 6 months and we amped it up in the past performance, future performance of kind of, stamp, AAA, okay? It's the same thing. They're created to give permission to do what they did. It's like Butler Schaefer, the constitutional law professor, he goes, yeah, that Constitution, that's a document that's supposed to prevent them from doing all the stuff they do. They do it anyway. The FISA court is there to do this. It's not to prevent this. Why do you think they're even there? I mean, it's so they can do this surveillance stuff secretly. Well, they're going to do secret surveillance. What do you think what the hell was going to happen? And you don't know who the FISA judges are. We still don't know. They're secret. They're secret judges with secret papers and secret. This is all this JFK secret societies and secret meetings and secret crap.
Well,
this is it.
Well, the thing is, yeah, but Ernie, it's set up sort of like the grand jury.
It's set up to do whatever the hell they want. That's my point.
Well, that's true. Ernie, I know you'll laugh at what I'm scoff what I'm going to say. It is Christmas time, so maybe I've just had a little too much hot chocolate. And
you're too forgiving,
watching,
man.
Jimmy Stewart movies, but I'll tell you what. I think when it comes to government, it's always two like yin yang balancing act. It's the balancing act of the system, because you always need a system. I know you want anarchy, and I get that, but there's always rules. You need some kind of society, some kind. And so the first part is the fairness and the checks and balances of a system. But that is also ultimately checked and balanced on the other side of humanity, of just people at the end of the day, forgetting the 4% sociopaths, which is why I bring that up so often. But for the 96% of us that's left over, it's for people, men and women, to know in their gut what is right and wrong, and to act on it, to know how far can one go before it becomes a problem. And therefore check the system and balance it out. And the whole vote for Donald Trump was that. People who voted Republicans and Democrats and people who voted for the system who felt the system was broken. The same thing with Brexit. People saying, enough, I don't trust the system anymore. And it goes back to the gut level. This is wrong. And that is what we're seeing, that balance. And by the way, before I turn it back over here to you, buddy, to your own show, let me just point out one person in particular, just one example. And that is an African-American federal judge who was put in place by Bill Clinton. And guess what that person did? He was the judge that forced Hillary Clinton, by threat of being arrested, to finally turn over the damn hard drive after she wiped it with a cloth. Okay? It was him that sent the police. And on the day of the arrest, she finally turned it over. Federal judge under her husband.
Oh yeah, and I bet that drive was all kinds of supportive of we got a bunch of data of stuff, right? Is on there?
Yes.
Is it all good?
Yeah.
We're all good now?
Yep.
All right. They got a system. All right.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and
Yeah, you're killing me. You know, it's all.
No, well, it's an example, though. I mean, I'm really serious.
I'm really serious too. This whole thing is
that was
bullshit.
a profiles in courage. It might sound silly, but a profile in courage. Imagine you're a black Democrat judge put in by the husband of the person that you're saying you have to turn.
Who the hell
now,
else would you think they'd pick to do it?
What?
Who do you think they would pick to do it? Oh, yeah, we're going to. Because if it was somebody else, a real judge, he would have forced them to do it, 3.7 days earlier. I think, wait. We need time to, send the cops on this day. Can you do it at 10 a.m.? Give us till 10, I mean, it's all theater. I'm just so sick of the theater and the process. It's just bullshit. Bullshit on top of bullshit with some bullshit frosting. Little sprinkles of bullshit. It's just, seriously. So I'm going, I don't remember eating no corn. Anyway, so yeah. So this is just, lumpy
we're in break right now. I've been yapping so much.
Yeah.
We're in break.
Yeah.
So my better half here, my wifey Savarda, she there's one thing why she has not been an official Tambori in our family is that she has never watched Star Trek: The Next Generation. And in my family, every friend and family back east, that was like our mantra. We know the episodes by heart. So she finally succumbed, and we're doing a Next Generation marathon. And she's finally really appreciating being part of the club now about all my references to Star Trek.
Yeah.
Picard is such an amazing character. I wish he existed in real life. But the thing is, one of the things, like the first episode of Encounter Farpoint, where they meet Q for the first time, and I don't want to get too much off track here, but Q, basically Picard and the Enterprise meet this this godlike being who puts humanity on judgment for
trial.
all the crimes of humanity. Yeah. And Picard himself has to defend humanity, otherwise humans will be wiped out or whatever. And the thing is, what Gene Roddenberry, the theme of so many of his episodes in the original series and Next Gen, was just the duality of humanity. The idea that we can be so evil and so bad, and we can kill each other and lie, and such damage to each other.
Minority.
And yet, at the same time, a point that we're like a scourge of virus, cockroaches. Some people really are, Hillary Clinton. But I mean, Adam Schiff. But the thing is, some people, there's evil in the world that we all know. I mean, God knows the atrocities that were done before we had government. I mean, oh God, forget that statement. I just mean
those atrocities were done by government.
What I'm talking about is we're talking 1,000 years ago.
No. I mean, there was some form of some government or some leader of follow me and let's go kick ass.
I know that would set you off. What I mean is like 1,000 years ago, when you just had a tribe, you had some teepees or whatever, and some warring tribe came and just killed and just, I don't even want to say it right now, it's Christmas time, but do things to the children and the women and just massacre. I mean, we had atrocities that happened before, anyway, the point is that humanity is so evil in so many ways. And yet, as Gene Roddenberry points out, it's balanced with equally profound beauty of humanity, of the arts, of compassion.
Or even so more equal, that balances in our favor. It's just the bad guys are really bad.
Right, and good people can be really good, and I go back and forth on this myself. And when I get so cynical and F the world and this and that, but yet at the same time, I mean, I have to say, Gene Roddenberry really had it down. It's I have a hard time with this because I tend to be as an INTJ. I tend to be more black or white, and either you're good or bad.
All right, here we're coming back. We'll talk about it. Here we go.
Okay.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
There are those that just want to be left alone, and those that just won't leave them alone. Which one are you? The Ernest Hancock Show.
Yeah, what were we saved by? Saved by zero. As in, zero government. I need... Yeah, you like that one? That was good. All right, so this is what I see happening. There is. We were talking about Star Trek: Next Generation. Savarda, his wife, is kind of sharing that. Finally, getting a binge watch on it. And I remember in the first episode you were talking about, or later when he was talking to Q, and he goes, "That's what this is all about. You're afraid of humanity. You're afraid of our vision. You're afraid of our imagination. You're afraid of what will become. You're afraid because how like Shakespeare was like, how like angels in anticipation. How the future is going to be, very interesting. And what is threatened by our autonomy, our independence, our self-reliance. If you don't need they, them, those, they want everybody to know why they need us. Well, what happens when we don't need them? Then what? Well, then we don't need them. And they're parasites on humanity. And that's where Dr. Frank really has gotten me. I did a show last week with James Corbett, and it was on this issue. It was on, he did a episode on, sociopaths and, or bad guys in government and central, whatever the hell. And I'm going, Dr. Frank really got me opened up to the concept of sociopaths, the role that they play in our society. And the biggest mistake, they may be good for a lot of, I have no idea what, but, diversity and humanity of something, but you do not want to give them power. You do not want to have a shiny badge and somebody without empathy or compassion, which is what the, Christ and Christmas and the New Testament and everything was all about. It was compassion and empathy towards your fellow man. And that, in the Bible, has always been the consistent thing. Evil was sociopaths. The evil that was because they didn't care. The evil that they were able to do, that was the trait. And they tried to call it evil. Well, they may do evil, but why? Because they don't care. So I'm going, this is what I think we're up against. I keep going, what are we up against? It's this. And Dr. Frank kind of helped me see it. And the more you kind of realize something, you recognize it, then you see it everywhere. And you see it where it is. It's in government. It's in all these, them even lying about, oh, man, if we only did it right. If we had a good FISA court as opposed to what the hell we got a FISA court for. So this is, I can see that this is my trend into 2020. I see the pendulum coming back. And it's going to come back in a way that it's kind of ratcheting. It can't go back the other way because information is there for a consolidation of opinion, of just general public opinion going, man, they suck. So I don't know how they're going to unsuck. It's going to be, Trump is like, I'm going to unsuck them. I mean, what do you think Trump's going to do?
I'm not sure your question.
What's he going to do? This whole opinion of government in general, of they, them, those, of them, because I think Trump administration and the banks and all those, you think they're on two different sides, and I'm seeing they are got the same interest. They need to keep this Ponzi scheme going one more election cycle, and they're all in on it. And if they pull, I don't think they pull support of the economy under Trump, it's going to bring down the entire system, not just Trump, and they're not willing to do that.
Well, I get that. I mean, I have.
Well, they are.
One of my themes for like 20, 30 years, when I was getting involved in political, discourse and debates, I would often bring up the Constitution or bring up things, and they'd say, "Why are you getting all technical Constitution, this and that, and about history and how we got here?" And then of course that's why I talk a lot. People think I'm just rambling, blah blah blah, and that's fine. I'm sure you and I get the same the overall critiques, but I used to say that to me, the importance of understanding the foundation is to know how we got here, because when the economy finally falls apart, and we've been looking at this for decades, since we're taking off the gold standard, and this audience already gets it. It's amazing how resilient the economy's been this long, obviously. But when it happens, my biggest fear, and this is probably the paramount issue I've brought up, is that when it falls apart, the people are going to blame the Constitution. This is what Hitler and other fascists and dictators do, is they say, you see the system we had before, it failed you. And therefore, give me the power, kind of like Darth Sidious, give me the power and I will make everything good. And that is what people fall victim to if they don't understand how they got there. And that's what they are always taking advantage. So I've always pointed out, it's important to understand how the Constitution, how it really was written, what, So the Constitution, I don't want to debate about, I know that anarchists don't even like that. But the thing is, the Constitution is an absolutely beautiful document. Everything, the Electoral College, the more that you study how it's put together and what the rules are, it's beautiful. It's just that when it's not followed, and people don't even know it's not being followed because they're not taught civics in class. They have no understanding. I mean, I think it's only 1/3 of Americans even know anything about the Electoral College, or they don't even know about who's president. I mean, some real dumbass stuff. We were dumbing ourselves down. And that's my concern. So when things fall apart, people will not understand the reason why. So, I think that's just an important component.
I know why.
But anyway, I just think I think that to me is what's valuable, is to understand how we got here as much as possible, so people don't just
why do you think we got here? What do you think
it went wrong with
where to go wrong,
or whoever else?
Where to go wrong? What was?
I'm not making my point well, but it's the deeper issue. But in today's world, though, people want information so quick, and there's no foundation to anything. People are not taught civics, and it's all instant gratification. And there's people don't have an attention span to actually listen or understand things. And it'll probably never happen, as you and I have talked about. What you've talked about all the time, the decentralization of everything. The way we find information and news, we will never ever have a focused, one-size-fits-all, here's the news, ABC, Walter Cronkite. Those days are so past us. My daughter will never understand that. And not to be funny, but I've often said too, we'll never have another Michael Jackson. We'll never have one person who captures the world in music. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe there's some master artist out there, but it will never have one album that breaks the records like Thriller, because everyone is in their own bubble doing their own thing. And we have to find a way to realize that this isn't inevitable. And of course, you've said this for years. It's just, how do we adapt to it? How do we agree and make government changes when everyone is listening to different information? And you can't put the genie back. That's what the deep state and that's what the media is trying to do. Trying to shadow ban and edit and on YouTube and shut people down. They're trying. It's the last gasp to control the narrative. But we already know that's done. It's done. It's just, how do we go forward with this? And so we have half this country being told the Electoral College is racist. I mean, it's incredible. So how do we communicate? So that's sort of the issue. And by the way, Ernie, since I'm sure you're probably reading something because you're letting me talk this long.
No,
so
I'm listening.
Really?
I'm getting ready to jump on you.
No. So I want to make a point. This is something that it's one of my larger issues. I think a Christmas gift to anybody, and this is going to sound a little facetious, and I mean this from my heart, is that people have to learn to really listen to, quote, the other side. Now, the decentralization, what is the other side now? Because there's like a trillion sides. Everyone's got their own opinion. But what I mean is, you can almost predict if someone today is a Democrat or Republican by how much they listen to the other side. Tim Pool did a whole thing. There's a study that came out from Tufts, I think, and they talked about how Democrats do not understand Republican positions, but Republicans mainly understand Democrat positions. It turns out that Republicans get 30 to 35% of their news, information, and cultural influences from the left, whereas the left receives less than 5% of their information news from the right, which should be no surprise. And then that shows how ignorant and arrogant they are, but they don't see it. Also, the people on the left, they run away from debate, whereas conservatives like to debate with people on the other side. You've got people on the left befriend people on Facebook. People on the right don't befriend, right? I mean, people on the right, we never called for the and that include libertarians in this. We've never called for the censorship or banning of CNN or the Washington Post or YouTube videos. But the left, they're all in favor of selective editing and selective, banning because it's important. So when you go down that list, the left has put themselves into a bubble for decades. This has been a long purging process. I mean, I've argued to the left. I say this all the time. If you people don't believe that there's a media bias, then I'll shove it up their ass right now. And here's the point. Okay. You people on the left always talk about diversity and equal representation, right? If there's 30% African Americans in this country, then 30% of the people working at Freedom's Phoenix need to be black. Okay, that's just the way they see it. It's got to be blah, blah, blah. Okay, so if you people believe this, then let's look at this. 50% of this country at least, and by the way, the last census numbers, it's actually 53%. We lean center right, by the way, but let's just for not quibble. 50% of this country is conservative. 50% is liberal Democrat. And by the way, I mean no disrespect to libertarians because they're in there as well. I'm just trying to make a point. So if we're split 50-50, then why the hell is not 50% of the hosts on CNN, MSNBC, ABC, why are not 50% conservative? How come whenever they throw up a story and they have a talking heads, why is it you have a liberal host with 4 guests, panelists, talking heads? 3 of them are Democrat, and you have 1 token Republican, sort of like politically incorrect with Bill Maher, where everyone just takes pot shots at. Okay, so therefore, if you want equal representation, you liberals, then why is it you don't have equal representation in the media that you claim is not biased? Fox News clearly is biased. They admit it. But the liberals don't think what they're listening to is biased. And it's that lack of understanding that has created a bubble that has marginalized conservatives over decades since Watergate. And in many ways, the liberals were correct. And they had a reason to be angry because the establishment, the military-industrial complex, created an establishment, both in the deep state and the media, that was right-leaning. A lot of us don't really recall that. But the left got so angry, they basically purged the Republicans from all different media, from Watergate, and all the President's Men. What are those guys? Woodstein and
Bernstein and Woodward. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of created the chip on their shoulder that Republicans deserve it, and they were slow. And Republicans put their head down because they had shame, and they should have. But they allowed themselves to be slowly marginalized over years, and then they were not put on shows. They didn't have equal rep during these shows. Ronald Reagan kind of pushed it back a bit, but they were losing the narrative. So then slowly they were kind of banished to the world of AM radio. And that's when talk radio started to take off. Then it was decentralized, actually, or not decentralized. It was deregulated, where then that's where Clear Channel came, and that opened up multiple franchise markets, which then led to Howard Stern. He was the first one, actually. Then came Rush Limbaugh and the conservative shows that we all have today, and for better or for worse, because unfortunately, when you have national shows, you lose the local shows, and therefore you lose the local representation and a lot of the local topics that the communities would talk about. Now it's all national. But anyway, it went to AM radio and was banned there. Banned off to there. So, and liberals, they wanted to shut down AM radio, but they also acknowledged that AM radio, no one listens to that except old people. And new people, young people are all television and then cable. So then finally they took over cable. And then Fox News came out as a response to being left out on the cable shows. And
all right, here we're coming back. You explain it to us. Here we go.
From the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Oh, it's the Walk of Life. With Dr. Frank Tambury on Trump Report explaining it to us. All right, he spent the whole break explaining it to me of how I don't know what this, I don't know. All right, Dr. Frank, to sum it up, your belief is that we're going to be going into this 2020 year and election cycle, that the people have come to the realization of what?
Well, I think they're starting to realize that the system is broken and the communication stream is broken. They just, a lot of times they can't put their finger on exactly why. I would encourage you, if you're interested in some of this, listen to the show, the break show I was talking about. In essence, the background about how conservatives became marginalized, and a lot of it's their fault from the Watergate years and the military-industrial complex.
Because they weren't conservative. Give me a conservative. Where's this limited government? We're going to have less and reduce and less taxes, less spending of less government, less military.
Ernie,
when did that happen?
I agree.
I missed that one.
I'm not talking about necessarily the philosophy of what they should have done or what have you, because conservatives created not only the military-industrial complex and the deep state that was really on the right, but they also set up the beginnings, the failings of our economy. I mean, ultimately, it starts from Republicans. Remember, they were the ones that began to use the threat of prior wars, World War I, World War II, Korean, whatever. They realized that after 2 wars, and keep in mind, there were people who were senators and representatives who either served in or knew people who served in both world wars. I mean, just kind of consider that. Imagine you're 60-something years old and you know people who died in both World War I and World War II. You see the world a lot differently. And that is one of the reasons, I know we can't see it from today's perspective, but why they said, we need a strong military to make sure this never happens.
Because
again.
they conned them into it. And the more you learn about each one of those wars, you go, we were just conned into this stuff. And they're going to con us into the next one. And now we got Afghanistan. It's the Afghanistan papers. We conned you, but it's a con about the con of what was the real con. I'm like, oh, you guys are killing me, man. I'm so don't care. I just be done. Be gone.
Look, fair point. We want to get into all the nitty gritty of World War I and II. That's a whole other thing. But I'm just pointing out that was used, and I think many people did believe it. Well, look, Ernie, AOC is one of our representatives. I mean, and you've got Maxine Waters. I mean, you've got people in office.
Okay. This is one thing. This is of interest to me. That's something that might interest me, and I don't zone out here. Okay, I want to know is the Democratic congressional numbers of who's vulnerable in re-election and how the House may go Republican. Are the Democrats really concerned? Is AOC got some competition, or they need her? They pay her to be there because they need an example. I mean, what do you think the makeup of the House is going to be after 2020?
Oh, I think it's going to be Republican. I think, and I hate to count my chickens here and then egg on my face, but I think what we're going to see, and I've said this on your show for years.
Then they're going to fix it, right?
It's going to be Brexit. I'm telling you that there's everything going in that direction. I'm just telling you. I think, and I'll say this over and over. I think libertarians, even who don't normally vote, and I'm not gonna, I respect your principles on it, but this election is not Sean Hannity. This election is the most important ever. No, this is a whole different deal. I've never said this in my life. This is not about abortion. It's not about the economy. It's stupid. It's not about any of these issues. This has to be like with Brexit. It's a definitive vote on the culture of saying there's something broken in this system. And if you think that letting this bull loose in the political deep state China shop that is Donald Trump is helping everyone, including progressives, because he's attacking the very people who attack Bernie Sanders, the very people who are keeping out even the left's viewpoints, legitimate viewpoints, whether we agree with them or not. They should be able to be expressed. And Bernie Sanders is their version of Ron Paul. And they are learning what we did with Ron Paul, how corrupt the system is. And it's the same thing. And Donald Trump is exposing all of these bastards. That is healthy.
Okay. Is Hillary coming back?
I still think she might. I mean, she's remember, she is a sociopath.
Steve Bannon said, absolutely, here she comes. And if she can rationalize it in her freaking jacked up head, whatever.
Hey,
yeah.
I have, speaking of that point, because it's a great discussion, but here's something a little tangential. Did you hear who the Kingmaker came out with just today or yesterday?
About what?
So the Democrat primary is already. Okay, I'll be in a second here. My better half, she's going to pull me at the top of the hour. Here's the thing. Big news, or somewhat big news, I mean, it depends if you care, is that Barack Obama, who's been sitting back in the wings.
Elizabeth Warren!
Not saying much. And it's like, how come he's not voting for supporting his wingman for 8 years, the safe white man that made him safe to white people? Why not Joe Biden? Maybe because there's crap on him and he's not supporting anybody. He just comes out and he's now kind of unofficially supporting, endorsing Pocahontas. So that says a lot. I mean, because she is in many ways Bernie light. She's the safe. People say she is Hillary Clinton wearing a Bernie Sanders mask. That's
If Elizabeth Warren comes out, she will make Hillary her VP.
Oh, that's a good one.
And then
Yeah,
she's
I
dead.
can see that.
But you never know. I see the way the Democratic Party works is a lot of people don't know what they call super delegates. What that means is they're usually congressmen or politicos of political, and they have like super votes, and they go in and they just select. It's a coronation. It's not an election. It's a selection. And so when you go into the Democratic National Convention, they already got picked out. It's just how they're going to get people to take the medicine. I mean, they're just, blah, 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 blah. And for this reason, excuse, we got something, Hillary Clinton. So and who else would it be? Bloomberg, gag me with a forklift. So here is Bloomberg coming out with all his, gun stuff and everything. These are not winning issues. But he's doing something else, and he has Bloomberg Media is not covering any of his stuff. Hell no, And he has some tech thing that he's investing gazillions of dollars in, and it's going to be like this Cambridge Analytica thing. And so those, the tech companies, the deep state or whatever, they're doing everything they can to make sure that you get only the news that that's fit to print on your cortex, and that's all you're going to get. So I'm seeing this play out, and that's why I want to hit the road. And so I want to get mobile. I want to have, the pirate communications of getting it. It can't come soon enough for me for what I do. And you're right. I want to go, and I don't want to go town to town to the riot crap. That's Luke's job. I'm like, I go, no, hell no. I want to go to where people left, too. They go, look, it's in the Wisconsin or whatever. It's Oklahoma and the Texas out in the middle of the Appalachia of, bite me. This is the story that I want to see. This is where I want to, and the people that are, up against, and we're going to be using the vaccine thing as a deal. Oh, Dr. Shiva takes a real Indian to beat a fake Indian guy. Had him on last week. He's all in on this vaccine thing. He can see it. He's a scientist of whatever in healthcare software guys. Well, of course I do. I work with these pharma and big drug companies of the hospitals and so on. They know. I'm going, man, this is going to break. And I don't know what the hell is holding this stuff together. Rubber band, Scotch tape, and glue. Yep. And it's going to break.
Well, hey, look, before we finish off, I just want to point out a little fun, but also shows you the change or where the momentum is, perhaps. I made a little small donation to the Trump campaign. Maybe it wasn't so small, but in case Savard ever hears this, I don't want her to know. But anyway, I made a nice donation, and
you're on their list now.
I was able to get a bunch of Trump swag for Christmas. I mean, all sorts of Trump stuff, and I got stuff from my father, and there's like a T-shirt that says basically that if you don't like Trump, then I won't like you. I mean, that's his T-shirt. My dad is someone crazy enough to wear it. But the point is, I got a bunch of Trump stuff, Trump dog collars, all kinds of things, and Trump wrapping paper, with Donald Trump's face just kind of like trolling you with a Santa hat. It's like fantastic. Anyway, I ordered all this Trump stuff, and back in December 2nd. And it should have been there in a week or so. And anyway, I just got it a few days ago, which kind of sucks because I was late getting everything. I mean, I can't, I missed out what the whole point was sending to people for Christmas. But the reason I was sending an apology is they said the demand was so overwhelming because of this impeachment thing, everyone was donating. I mean, every time they impeach him more, but his fundraising skyrockets. So many people bought so much crap from Trump that there were delayed weeks getting everything out.
Hey, are you coming over for dinner tomorrow?
Oh yeah, I'll bring over my Trump swag. I want to see. I want to see. I want to see. Anyway, I just want to let you know. So it's kind of an indirect. It's a fun Christmas story, but it shows you the momentum, and you've got Nancy Pelosi with this hot potato, not knowing what to do with it, and that's a whole other discussion. That's beyond amusing to watch. But Trump is just riding us to the bank, and if we saw how Clinton profited from the impeachment, this is a whole nother level. So,
are they going to forward the articles of impeachment?
I don't.
Are they going to add more? This is ridiculous, man.
Over and over that they won't. They're going to find some excuse not to turn it over because it's not about Trump. It's about if they send it over, then they will be exposed to all the crap that they're doing. And wait, and here's the thing. Let's tie this together. That's probably why Obama finally is endorsing Pocahontas, because he knows that if this goes to the Senate, if it doesn't go to the Senate, then no one's going to vote Democrat, and they're going to be blown out because they'll be so angry not following up on Trump. If it goes to the Senate, then, of course, it opens up all the attack on Biden during the election year, and Biden is the great white hope, or I should say the hope. I didn't mean for the race thing there, but he's the hope for the establishment. And, of course, Obama knows how toxic and tainted he is. So probably he sees the box that they're in. Biden is done, whether they all know it yet or not, politically, because of the Senate trial. And so therefore he's coming out ahead of time with Warren. I'll bet that that's what the deal is. They can't allow that to happen, and Schiff will be on the stand and all of the rest. So that's what's going on here, so I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Yeah. Wait, Ernie, one last thing. What gets me infuriated, though, is that the liberals have no idea, because they don't listen to the other side, is that they changed the rules for the first time in the House under sociopath Schiff to not allow the Sixth Amendment right under the Constitution for someone to face their accusers. They took that away from Trump. He never was able to defend himself during the House. For the first time ever, they couldn't call their own witnesses. And now these bastard hypocrites, taking advantage of the idiocy of their people in their bubble, is that now they want to send it to the Senate. And they're saying, we're not going to send it to the Senate unless we're allowed to call witnesses. We want to make sure it's fair. And the leftist viewers have no clue. They want to accuse the Republicans of not allowing witnesses, but they did it themselves and it wasn't even covered. It's we are at the breaking point of news and our own realities, where there's no question about it.
Well, I'm looking forward to the repudiation of all things government, and they're helping. So I'm like, all you guys doing me a solid. I really appreciate that. But I never get what I want. I want a freaking trial.
Yeah.
And this was been since day one, since the beginning. Hell, he didn't even take office. We were talking about that. And I go, I want an impeachment trial. That's what's going to do. And I thought, man, they teased the shit out of me. They little teasers. They got it right up to them. We're not sending them. I go, you guys, that's amazing. I didn't know they could even do that. That's awesome. So, it'd be more to talk about tomorrow. All right, well, I'm glad you're coming over. I'll see you tomorrow, man.
All right, thank you. And Merry Christmas to everyone listening, and let's all try and enjoy each other's families. At the end of the day, that's what all this is about. So have yourself a great holiday. Bye-bye.
Peace.